You are now live, and this is the Luke-N-SHAE place.
What? Why would you go live without me? That's crazy.
Well, we're getting ready to start this here show.
Go ahead.
Um, we're going to talk about some interesting subjects. But before we get to that, let me tell you, we need for you to like, subscribe, and share. We're looking for you to participate tonight, contribute. The show doesn't happen without you. We're looking for all our people to jump in. And like I said, we need for you to comment and sit down and talk about certain things. We're waiting for Shay to get into the house as she sets up over there. We touch on the subject of what does better or worse look like to you? You know, when you get married, they say for better or worse. And we have so many people who now um, almost anything could be worse for them today. Well, because they'll step out because of that worse. So what we're going to discuss this evening is what is for better or worse. So as soon as Shay get in the house, we're gonna touch on that subject. And we're gonna dive deep into it, and maybe we'll have a guest or two come through for us.
Shay is in the house. Hold on. Just setting up my camera. You had it scheduled for 8:35. So hold on one second.
What time is it now?
It's now 8:35. You started it at 30 like 3 minutes
It was
ago.
it was scheduled for 8:25, but
Well, when you posted it on Facebook, you put 8:35. So I was giving
that was
people enough time to get here. Hold on one second. I gotta set up my camera here. Luke, did you tell him to like, share, and subscribe?
well. You could tell them, and then stop you. You there right now?
I will tell them as soon as I get my camera going here.
So, like I said, we'll be discussing tonight the fine. I don't want to say the fine art, but what it means or what it does. What does better and worse looks like to you? How far would you go?
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Not even. Let's see here. What happened? Am I still here? Okay.
Like we could hear you, Shay.
You can hear me
Um,
good. That's
yeah.
at least
So
that's
you
that part of
am I
it's
still
working.
here? Okay,
That's
stop
good.
talking to yourself over there.
I'm
But
not. I'm talking to you.
no,
I'm
you're not,
talking to
because I'm doing the show. So you need to get.
you.
So again, we're going to discuss for better or worse. When you step into the holy matrimony, and what does it mean when the pastor or the reverend or the person that's marrying you says for better or for worse? Does illness come about and you can no longer perform your duties, and is that worse? If a person commit adultery or go outside of you, is that enough worth to walk away? Even if a person becomes unhappy for whatever reason, is that for better or worse? So we're gonna delve into this tonight, into what is for better or worse, and we're gonna get to the bottom of what's better or worse.
All
Some
right.
some people like
Hello. I know Luke gave an
that.
introduction, but welcome to Luke and Shay's Place. Tonight we have something great, a nice discussion planned for you guys. Before we begin, please like, share, and subscribe. That's important. That is something that we need to build our panel. So if you can just like when you view our content, and also subscribe to get us viewed by other people that are not our regular viewers. We appreciate that. All right. I'm ready to go. Luke, I don't know what's going on with the squares. Are you going to share something in that section?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like we're pushed together.
No, that would be the only alternative.
Yeah, that's fine. We can go back to the first one because I don't know what just happened. All right.
I don't understand what you're saying. We push together.
Yeah, the squares are kind of on my end. I see it that way, but all right. I'm ready to go. Trying to see. The screen is. Hmm. All right. So you're going to say the question again?
I done said it 3 times, so I
Uh,
was hoping you was in the house when I said it. What
well, I was
does
setting up.
better?
I was setting
Okay.
up here.
What does better or worse look like to you?
Yeah, so that's a good question. For better or worse? Yeah, so for better or worse, when I hear that, it's
Well, you get when you get
definitely
married.
something that people hear at weddings all the time, for better or worse.
No, you're
But
gonna
is
hear
it
that every wedding.
yeah, it's at every wedding, so that's what I was getting at. Because it's words that are used at every wedding, is it just looked at as words? Are people really taking it as a commitment when they're saying those words, or do they really mean that for better or worse?
No, do they
Because
honor it?
you hear it so much at weddings, and it's like, okay, it becomes like a routine. When you go to a wedding, you're going to hear that for better or worse, so who's actually latching on to what they're saying and actually going with that whole commitment, so
Yeah. So what do better or worse means? It means should the worst thing happen, I should still stay. See? So if my your significant other was to be relieved of their duties or they couldn't do their wifely or husband duties, I still have to stay because that's the love part that we supposed to have with one another. See, so like I say, really love can't be exemplified unless you're doing something where in the case of true love is not exemplified until you in a position of lack or if something's missing. So it's like we can say I love you all day long, but when somebody is injured or something happened to them, so where they're no longer able to do the things they do, that's where the true love comes in at. Because see, that's where the love starts at right there. When it comes to that, yeah, I can have the feeling of liking you and loving you in that same way, but the act of duty of love comes when the person can no longer do the things that we love for them to do, and we still love them. And so that's one of the things we have a problem with today is the fact that we build our relationships in a different way. We build our relationship based off the feelings and not off the duty. Because when things go awry, we'll get up and leave or we'll get up and move on from it. And so none of this looks good to us today, but this is what's happening in our society because there's so much stuff going on that's not real in the sense of what real love is supposed to be. So, like I said, you got people doing things as far as committing adultery, doing all kind of things because their mate can't do this or mate can't do that, or heaven forbid, the mate is in, he falls up under another, or she falls up under another thing. We're so easy to get up and remove ourselves from situations. It's so easy to walk away, and I think part of it because we have a no fault divorce system here today. So people are getting up, walking away for anything. It used to be a time where when you wanted to get a divorce, it was classes that you had to take. You had to go through different things, different ringers to get that divorce. But today, it's a no fault. You can leave anytime you want. So, for better or worse, is takes on a whole new meaning in this society today.
Yeah, it's just basically through thick and thin. That's to sum it up. Through thick and thin, am I going to be able to stay? Am I going to be able to endure a little hardship here and there? Because everything is all peachy when everything's good, but throw some hardship in there. Throw some unexpected, because you just never know in life. You have unexpected things that happen. People get sick, like you said. People get injured. You never know. So as a team, as a marriage, where you're, you I guess you begin to see how people really are in a marriage. Because if we're all good when things are good, but we're not okay when things are not good, then that's a problem. Because at the end of the day, if I get sick or if I get injured, I want to know that my man, or he has my back. He's still going to be there. And to have somebody not look at you the same, if you do fall into an illness or something, then that could be an issue. I see that happen more times than not. But then it starts to look like, okay, was that relationship real? Because if I was only good to you for maybe the finances, so say we take a hit with finances or something like that because of an illness, are you still going to be riding with me? Is that still going to be something where, okay, you see that there's an issue, or someone's sick in your marriage, are you still going to be around to be there for them? Are you still going to be able to be a supporting spouse?
Well, yeah, I mean that's part of it. But like I
I
said,
can't hear
just
nothing
building
you
off
said.
of just building off of our society where we are geared today to do certain things and taking it serious. The most important thing is how well we take it when someone says for better or worse, and what do it exemplifies to us when we hear the for better or worse. And so, like I said, being that I've never been married or just been in a relationship, period, having that understanding of what it is to be married, and because that's the keys to the marriage right there. That's kind of like, because you're going to go through ups and downs, and we go through ups and downs in life. So definitely, if you're in a marriage, you're going to go through some ups and downs. And so, what you really want to know is, will the person that you have selected to be with or to spend the rest of your life with, what do they see it as, and how long would they stay, and would
Are
they
they
leave?
going to be around? Yeah, are they going to be around? And that's important, because you want to know that you have that support, you have that backbone. And again, with different circumstances that happen in life, but I for me, I have to say, because I can give grace all day. I can give grace all day in a marriage, and that whole forgiveness and different things like that. Now, for illness and sickness, because that's another thing, through sickness and health. That's another thing when you're making those vows, you're saying through sickness and health. Are you good, Luke? Okay, so again, Luke is, so when through sickness and health, as I was saying, that's another part of it, because we can say for better and worse all day, but what does that really look like when someone gets sick, through sickness and through health? So yeah, you can ride with somebody when they're healthy, but what about when they get sick? Because nobody plans that. That's not something that we go into our marriage and we don't think like, okay, this person's going to get, that's, we don't think about the negative things that could possibly happen, the unpredictable things that can happen. So when
So
our mate gets sick, are we gonna be there? Is that going to be a thing where we can't handle it? I can go to the extreme of, okay, your mate gets sick, and let's just say now there's financial stress in the house. How is that going to look for certain people? Because some people will then start to resent their mate. I've seen that time and time again, where people start to resent their mate because they're now not able to contribute to the household like they used to. So
yeah,
when that happens, see, now when that happens, okay, is that love? Because when you really love someone, if they get sick, you're gonna want to see them get better. You're not gonna look at that person and say, you know what, wow, you're no good to me now. You're sick now. I don't want no parts of this. When you're walking away, true story that happened to me, but when you're walking away from a relationship, it happened to me years ago. Got sick, and it's like, okay, the person was just not supportive. Just basically, I felt like my sickness, I'm not even going to say it ended, that I just saw a change in the person, just quiet, and I felt like a burden at a time when you need support. You should never feel like a burden in your relationship or in your marriage, because that's the person that you chose to be with. So if you can't call on anybody else, if you need help getting to the shower, different things happen for different circumstances. People
mm,
have surgeries and they need to heal. But if your person is now turning their back on you because, oh my goodness, I have financial stress. So now I'm looking at it like, was I only beneficial just for the financial aspect of our relationship? Because if you take the money away, the equation, is the love still there? That's what you really have to ask yourself. If I'm only good for the financial, our finances in this household. Because if you take that out of the equation, and if the person's turning their face up like, oh, you're just sitting around, and you're only sitting around because you're sick and you might not be able to walk, or you might not be able to do the things that you used to do. And if that person's not supportive, and if they're not loving on you, then you start to see, wow, this might be telling. This might be telling that this person, it might be a marriage of convenience. Because I've seen that time and time again, where people get in marriages and it's just convenient at that time. It's not like that was their person. That was just convenient for them at that time. So when you're in a marriage of convenience, you'll start to see, when times get bad, is that person still being supportive? Is that person still going to have your back no matter what? And you got anything to say? I'll take a little intermission with that, Luke. You have anything to say about anything I said?
oh no, I think you touched on a lot of things there. I think you touched on a whole bunch of things, and one of the things, like I said, we run into a lot of these things today because, like I said, it's about what you see the person as in the
Yeah.
relationship, because it generally tells when I can walk away, when I can, what it is that I'm leaving for. And you see it a lot of time. I remember in the movie, I think it was in the movie, what was the movie? Was it Waiting to Excel? Where I believe it was gosh, what was his name? Well, anyway, he was with Angela Bassett. And remember,
Okay.
his wife was gravely ill, and he was sticking by his wife. Wesley Snipes played a guy in there, but he's sticking by his wife. And I remember thinking, to that point of it being like really unrealistic, uh,
Hmm.
your relationship, because his wife was terminally ill with cancer, and he was still being faithful. He ended up spending the night, I think, like with Angela Bassett the whole night, and nothing
Okay.
happened.
Hmm.
But yeah, you kind of get those type of things, and but in
Well,
all fairness, that's what's supposed to happen. But
yeah. Now, when you say the word unrealistic, when you describe that movie, what part of that was unrealistic? The fact that he was still supportive when she was gravely ill and he didn't step outside of her. What part
Uh,
of that was unrealistic?
the part that was unrealistic for me is the fact that, see, the one sin that the Bible says you can't stay with is sexual immorality. See,
Hmm.
so I don't think you're gonna be able to spend the night with a woman and nothing happen. I think you would have to. Now, if you would have had his own room and she had her own room, well, it becomes more believable. But when you sleeping in the same room, I think that's a bird of another feather. That's playing it too close.
Well, yeah, I would agree that that could spark some temptation, but I don't know. I don't I think there's some men out here that actually could probably, and not that I would suggest being put in a situation like that where you're spending a night with a woman. I get it. He maybe needed support being that his wife was gravely ill, but I believe there's a whole bunch of men out here. Luke, you're not giving them enough credit. I believe there's a lot of men out here that would probably be able to sleep in the same, you know, place with a woman and not do anything, because that shows that he really, there's men that really love their wife, is what I'm going to say. There's people out here that really love their wife to where they're not going to step outside of her. So, that part. Yeah, so.
We have some comments. Uh, His will for your life, LLC. He said,
Okay.
well, that was true. And well, that was earlier. And his will for your life also said that's the worst feeling.
Oh,
And
wow. Yeah. Thanks for commenting. Yeah.
it
I can
can
imagine that
happen.
being the worst
But
feeling too. Yes. When
no,
somebody,
I wasn't putting men down. I'm saying again, that's biblical. That's why it's in the Bible. See, when David went outside and was looking over off the rooftop and saw Bathsheba, see, it was him seeing Bathsheba. See,
hmm
himself. And David is described as a man after God's own heart. So now you're gonna put a brother inside a bed with a man who hadn't had sex in a long period of time with a woman. That's too great of a
well,
temptation.
see,
I
in the
wouldn't put
bed, that's a whole nother level of crazy.
you.
So
That's
yeah,
a great word.
I'm not saying that, no, in the bed, that's, yeah, I don't remember the movie because that was I did watch it years ago, but I didn't remember them being in the bed together. So no, that,
For
yeah,
tonight.
that's very that's putting yourself in a situation that you might not be able to get out of. So yeah, but but with that being said, let's take it to real life. So this is a real thing that really happens. Okay, people get sick, people get hurt at work, things happen in your marriage, people get laid off from work. People get laid off from work, and in that time the finances might not be what they normally are. So is there grace given? Is that, for better or worse moments, where is that going to be something that you're not going to throw in your mate's face? Is it going to be a resentful moment? you know because there's a lot of people that might stress silently, and I just say communicate with your spouse. If there's love in your marriage, communicate, because you're always going to have something. Everything in your marriage is not going to be sun rays and peaches. You're going to have some ups and downs. So you're going to have to communicate and just, love on them at the time that they need it. Communicate. And if you have to go the extra mile to do something, that's showing love. That's showing love. But the worst part, when we see the divorce rates now, and it's sad, but I think a lot of people threw that for better or worse part out, because when it got worse, I don't know what everybody's worse is, but I think sometimes now it might be petty things, like when it's something like, okay, attention and little things like that. I'm like, that's not even, you guys can work it out. I mean, and I'm not saying everybody feels like they can do that, but I feel like a lot of people, what the issue is, you're getting with people that you're not even connected to. The people that we're getting with, we're not doing our research, and then we're getting in marriages, and then we're finding out, oh my goodness, I married the enemy. This person's not for me. But now you're in that already. So do your research beforehand, and then you won't have that. You won't have all these divorces, but it's a
Well,
touchy topic with
no,
all that.
I think you will get the same, but the point here is, like I said, is how well we honor it. We don't necessarily honor, we don't really honor the vows as we did before. So again, it's the way we are today. When you comes to that particular thing right there, like I said, because it's so easy to walk away from a lot of things. So when you hear that, that's what I'm saying. That's part of it too, because you don't have to honor it. We only honor things when we are forced to put in a position to honor. And so with that being said, that's why we have it in our society where it's so easy to, like I say, we can nitpick everything because we live in a society that's everything is I need it tomorrow. And so that's how we live. We live like everything is quick. We don't really take the time to not necessarily research, but not the time to even put into honoring the vows. So that's
Hmm.
a bird of another feather. No, I wasn't putting men down. I'm just saying at this point in time, well, like I said, in that particular scene or that particular anything, men would have a tough time in it because they are men. They are men. It's not saying that some men probably could have handled it, but at the same time, I wouldn't put myself in that position, and that's the thing. So that's where you would have to flee, and
Yeah,
that's in itself is a whole nother argument because you
that's
would have to take off.
understandable. And when you say that too, that makes me think of, well, the highest rate for, the reason why most divorces are, let's just be honest. Most divorces, happen because of infidelity. So with that being said, when you speak of men, though, when you speak of them and you say, we're men, that's I mean, when I hear you say that, it's almost like, hey, we're men. So, that's something that happens with us. And to me, I feel like that's the reason why a lot of divorces happen. And when is it okay to throw in the towel then? Because that's, somebody who's not being faithful to you. I can't equate that with somebody who loves you. So
Well,
somebody
you
who's not
feel
being faithful, for better or worse, I feel like is out the door. Because now for me, I could probably give grace depending on the situation. And I know people mess up. We all sin. We come short of the glory of God. I get that. But it depends on the situation. Because, and for me, yeah, it's going to be hard to trust the person. It's going to be hard to trust and get that trust back. There's going to have to be some kind of counseling, marriage counseling, or whatever the case might be. But also, with that being said, there has to be just it has to have been a one time, like something crazy one time. I could probably say, hey, well, how this happened. But if there was a continuous conversation, if there's been intimate texting, and there's been planning and on this, and this has been an ongoing more than one time thing, you're in a whole side relationship with this person. I'm sorry, that for better or worse is out the door, because you weren't thinking of me. You didn't love me enough to bring your behind home. You decided to be out here. You didn't just forget that you had a wife. So, it depends on the situation for me, for better or
hmm
worse. If somebody gets sick or something like that, no, I'm not. That's, yeah, for better or worse. Things like that. You lose your job. Okay, let's rebuild. Let me help you find something else. Let's get to it. But when it comes to stepping outside of your marriage, and you're one of those, what do you call them, like a person who just, oops, I'm sorry, honey, I didn't mean to cheat. I didn't. If you're doing that, I'm sorry, there's no love here. I'm sorry. For better or worse is out the door, because you just keep picking to do worse, and you're not trying to do better. So
hmm Well, see, here are some of the things that, well, actually, when we look at the most common reason for divorce includes a lack of commitment. See,
okay.
then it's infidelity, then it's conflict. Lack of commitment being a common reason given by divorcing couples. Survey found that 75% of people cited this as their primary reason for divorce.
Hmm.
And then it says infidelity, a common reason for divorce in the United States, can be a physical or emotional, can be difficult to regain trust after an affair.
Yeah. Hmm.
Conflict, it says the common reason for divorce can include arguing, fighting, or other forms of conflict. Negative communication pattern, such as criticism, contempt, defensivism, stonewalling, and can predict divorce. Other
Okay.
common reasons for divorce include marrying too young, financial problems, substance abuse, domestic abuse, addiction to sex, pornography, gambling, and irreconcilable differences. I
Reconcilable
always
this.
had trouble saying that. Irreconcilable differences. So
Yeah.
that's another one. But those are some of the things that we get divorced for today. But like I said, that plays a big part in how we look at life too. So no, I don't think infidelity is the number one, because even in that being said, it's more now. It's called cheating without cheating. It's an emotional cheating. You can tie yourself to somebody else.
Yeah. That's why I
Not,
preference that if it was okay, you guys are into doing some, I know they call it sexting. I don't know if that's one of the trigger words, but when you're sexting and you're intimately texting this person and you guys are reaching out to each other every night, I'm walking through the house and every time I'm looking, and if that's something I find out, that's a whole nother relationship within my home. And I feel like, yes, there has to be, there's no more for better or worse because you chose the worst over the better. We could have been better,
exactly.
but you started a whole
Mhm.
nother relationship without communicating with me. And if that's an ongoing thing, no, like I said, I can give grace for one because I understand. And when you've been explaining to me the difference in how a man is in a woman, and it's hard to grasp that. It's like you have to chip that away from me because in my mind, I'm thinking everybody should be out here in a marriage being faithful in my mind. But when you
Mhm.
tell me how they love and how women love and how the difference is, but I also don't want to use that as a crutch either. I don't want to say, okay, honey, I know you cheated on me again. I'm going to give you grace because I understand you are filled with testosterone and you are, you know, you're built different than me. I don't want to use that as an excuse in my marriage because when he stood before God with me, he vowed to be just with me, the same as me. Anything you did before, leave that behind, cleave to your wife. You're in a marriage now. All that out and about and doing your thing, that's out the door because we made a commitment together. And if you're not taking it seriously, yeah, then I feel like we need to just throw in a towel and call it quits.
Oh, okay, well that's deep too. But like I said, to each his own. But that's kind of like the worst too. So that's why when I say that, because people get caught up in a lot of things as well. Because it's the world you live in. It's you know, like I said, I could see where the commitment issues were as well. But at the same time, it's the world we live in. You get caught up in a lot of things because it's not like you running through the world and you're not running into things. There's, like I say, when you work at a job and you spend uh, a good percentage of your time at work, and when
Mm-hmm.
you go into a place, yeah, so you can establish relationships with people in that type of setting. So and things can happen from that because at work, like I said, next to home, that's the number one place you spend most of
You're
your
there
time.
all them
Because at
hours.
home, you spend a great deal of your time sleep at home because you know it's more about where you lay your head.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, so it's where you are and where you how you see things and how you deal with those things at that time. But yeah, we look at life a little different when you look at it from the aspect of how you build. that whole thing, your relationship, like I was telling you earlier, is how we put together the relationship and what our beliefs is within the relationship. And so, like I said, a lot of people get married for convenience, and sometimes
Yeah.
women get married for, just to say they've been married. And it's not necessarily we're taking any of the vows or any of the things serious. We are doing it because it sounds good. It
It
sounds
looks
nice.
good on social
I want
media.
it.
And you know something, I see men doing that too. It's not just women anymore. There's men that do that too, and with everything in your marriage too. That's another thing too, for better or worse. Because when it gets worse, are you actually turning to each other and communicating about it? Is that something that you're actually talking to each other and trying to work it out? I've seen so many marriages, and I've known people that actually, soon as the first thing happens in their relationship, they're not turning to their mate. They're not trying to talk to their mate about something from the start, before they have the resentment, before they turn to betrayal and they start to step outside of the household. There's people that they won't turn to their mate, they'll turn to social media and they'll post things, and they'll try to get that attention from everybody outside of their house, but they're not communicating with their mate. That tends to be something that happens a lot too. And again, I'm seeing that with men and women now. I think when we got into the social media, I don't know if you can agree with this, because if you think about marriages back then, they didn't have social media. Oh, hello, there's somebody join. Okay. We can't hear you. Luke, can't hear you.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Oh,
We'd like to welcome Yolanda to the podcast.
hello.
Yolanda, that's Shay.
Hello, how you doing, Shay?
Hello.
Our discussion tonight, Yolanda, is what does better or worse look like to you?
Better or worse in a marriage.
Yep, in a marriage, for better or worse.
Okay. To me, for better and worse means
We, we
being
didn't mean to put
able
you on the
to stick
spot.
through. Uh, um. Well, it's funny y'all asked that. I just went through a divorce recently, so
Mm-hmm.
to me, being able to like stick it through, even through under pressure, um no matter what, when things are good, staying with the highs and the lows no matter what, that's what for better or worse means to me.
Oh,
um just being able to stick it through and not giving up, unless you both are saying you tapping out. But
okay.
just, it has to be a mutual agreement, not one tapping out and the other one's not in agreement or whatever. It has to be a mutual thing in order for it to be not better or worse. But being
Mm,
able to see each other through, because sometimes people have a mental breakdown in between the relationship, or it could be a health issue. Just being able to see them through that and not giving up because of that, you know. Because who wants
yeah.
to? Because we can't do that with our kids. We can't just give up on our parents.
Yeah.
When you make somebody your person, or you marry them, it's just like you can't get rid of a relative simply because they have a mental illness. You know what I'm saying? Or because they're feeling sick, and that's how you have to look at your marriage and your mate. Is not
Yep.
just giving up and throwing in the towel when things get rough and they're not in their best space. But when it's a mutual agreement, you're saying we can't do this, we're not going to be able to do that, then that's fine. But better or worse is being able to stick through the storms, get through it. Financial situation, sickness, health, mental instability for a season or whatever. You know, that's it. That's what I think.
Okay.
Mhm.
That way too. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you said I noticed you just said you were just coming out of a divorce. So
Hmm.
imagine that looks different.
This screen is not
You,
working. Mm-mm. It's cutting us off.
I was trying to. I was trying to get everybody in here good, so because the way she had a camera, but um, we like I said, I was just looking at it from that aspect of when being that you're recently divorced and having to deal with. Do you feel like people take that serious today?
What, the for better or worse?
Better or worse? Do you think they take that serious?
I think I think they do. I know I've talked to a lot of people who are, most of my friends are married people, and they try to stick it through. Of course, you have to be in a community of people that support your marriage. When you're discussing what you're dealing with or what you're going through when times get rough, so people won't easily be like trying to tell you to get out of it, and oh, it's easier on the other side or whatever like that. So it's important to have the right type of community around you to to help you not give up, because it's not easy being in a marriage. It's not easy being in any relationship, but for some reasons marriages get attacked harder to me. um but Today,
Mm,
I can't speak for everybody because I don't have a lot of experience outside of you know being married for all those years. So I wouldn't know, but I felt like we took it serious.
no.
And I felt like I took it serious. But it was a mutual agreement to not continue on
Oh, okay. Well,
in
yeah,
the
that's
way
what
that
we.
we, huh?
Go ahead. We were just saying that when how do people honor it today? Because I think people look at it because it's so easy to get divorced today with the no fault divorce. So you can easily
Yeah.
walk away. So that plays a part in how easy it is to not honor that whole thing because we can leave for whatever reason you want to leave for today. You can be like, I just not
Yeah,
happy.
I
So
agree with that 100%. So, how I feel like it's being treated now for a marriage, just like you said, when you asked if people are honoring it. So, because people are turning on and off their marriage like a light switch, okay, because they can, it's almost like a kid that decides they want to join a softball team, okay, and they want to play for a season. Like, okay, let me see if I like this or not. It's like we're getting married to try. Let me just try this out. Let me try this on for size. I see my auntie married. Okay. Some people in my family were married. Let me try this on for size, and people are getting in these marriages. It's like that child that's going out for the softball team, and the first time they get benched or they're not getting playing time, and it's like, okay, why am I on this team? I don't even want to be here. So now they want to quit. Like, I don't even want to play anymore. I'm not getting any playing time. I'm getting the worst of the team. I'm sitting on the bench. I'm a bench warmer. So now they're leaving. So equate that in a marriage, okay? You get in this marriage and everything's all good. You're on this team, doing things together. Everything's good. But when something goes worse, whatever that looks like for anybody, because people get divorced for so many different reasons. And it's like, okay, when the wind blows by the wrong way, am I going to go file for divorce? Because I don't know. I feel like, okay, if it's not, some of this stuff is not the worst scenario. When I think about some reasons for people that I've known that gotten divorced, and when I think of some of their reasons, and I'm like, okay, you guys just one day woke up and said, you're not for me, or whatever the case might be. But there was, I mean, how do you just stop loving somebody for no reason? If you're not telling me there wasn't cheating in your marriage, there wasn't anything like that, how do you just wake up one day and say, you know what, I never mind, psych, I don't want you to be the person that I'm with for the rest of my life. I just don't know how we're turning that off like it's nothing.
but that's because people don't always go into relationships again with the mindset of winning in a relationship. You go in a relationship with the notion of, all right, now it makes you happy in the beginning. Like I said, most people get caught up in the infatuation stage and then you go to the courtship part. But when you get into the meaty part of the relationship, that's the telltale sign of where, whether you're going to weather the storm or not, because that's when you start coming to
Yeah.
grips with some of the things you don't like about your partner or you're not cool with. But at the same time, that again, that's that better or worse thing. Where,
Yeah.
like I said,
Mhm.
it could be a bunch of things you dislike about the person, but you didn't. You didn't notice them in the courtship part. You didn't notice them in the infatuation part. It was
Mm-hmm.
all good until we got here, and now things are becoming a problem. And so,
Yeah.
like I say, I meet a lot of women who say in that same breath that they were like, "Yo, how the relationship terrible? What's going on? Is he mistreating you? Any of these things?" No, he's a good father. He's a good provider. I'm just not happy. And a lot of times, for me as a man, I don't understand that. But at the same time, we hear it all the time. I'm just not
Yeah.
happy. So if you're not happy, you feel compelled to leave. But I'm saying that's how easy with the no fault, well, type of divorce system we have now. You can get out of
Mhm.
it easily by just saying I'm not happy, and we can't determine what your happiness is,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and we should all know marriage ain't always happy. So
It's
I
not.
mean, so
Not
that's
all
just the
the
way
time.
it is. It's like life.
Not all the time. Yeah, it's not always going to be happy. And like again with different situations, again we said sickness, because that's another part of the vows, through sickness and through health. And a lot of people can't handle their mate getting sick. They didn't prepare their mind for that, because yes, you said it in the vows, but again, when we're saying those vows, it's, you've heard it at every wedding that you've been to, so now it's just words. Who's actually
Oops.
committing to what they're saying,
That's it.
and when I think of that, that's one of the things where sickness, how are you going to handle your spouse getting sick? Are you going to be able to still stay around? Because that can cause financial hardship in your marriage. But I hear a lot of different marriages where one of them have gotten sick and the other one couldn't handle that for whatever reason. I mean, sometimes when you're sick, you can't be intimate. Are you able to stay in a marriage if your spouse can't be intimate for a year or two? Is that going to be an issue? Are you going to be able to be faithful? Some people can't handle that because they weren't preparing themselves for the worst part. It sounded good at the wedding, but I didn't really prepare myself. They just, went into this marriage, and you just, of course, want everything to be all good. But I see so many people get sick, and it's like, at the time that they should be getting support, they're worrying about being a burden in their household, and that's horrible. People are
Yeah.
walking away from their marriages because their spouse just got sick. Life just happened, and
So how
that
so how do you feel? You feel should a person walk away because of the lack of sex? Are you okay with that?
should they walk away for, it
I
depends on
said,
the situation. That depends on the situation. See, for me, and I don't even agree with that, if it, because that's kind of harsh when you're, now if somebody's withholding it just to be withholding it, that's a problem, because you got married to be together. We're one marriage bed. We got married for, yeah, we got married to do things that we weren't able to do when we were kids. So
but
yeah,
that,
we didn't
but
just
that's
get married to
but
look
that's
at
the
each
thing
other and
though.
have.
Okay, but in that case, say the man chose or the woman chose at this point in time. Well, it would have to be the man because the man's supposed to be the head or the leader. So the man choose not to have sex. See, he can choose not to. That's a part of his thing to not have sex because sex was procreation. Let's use it that way. It was for procreation. Now, if he's saying he don't want to have no more kids, and you're not allowed to take any type of birth control or any of those type of things, again, so if he chooses not to have sex, what's going to happen or be
I mean,
intimate?
you pushed it into like a thing where it's like, okay, obviously, okay, if he doesn't want any more kids, there's other ways to stop him from having kids. He doesn't have to not have intimacy with me to not have kids. So
Uh, what
if
other
there's a,
ways?
you got to
What
give me
other
a better
what
situation, because for
what?
that
That's what
situation,
I was about to ask the question. What other ways biblically can he use to not have kids? See,
but
there's
you're
no other
saying
way.
to not have, you're saying somebody not being intimate with you. I never heard of somebody not being intimate because they didn't want to have kids with their wife. I never heard of a marriage
But
that
just because
they
you,
stopped being
that's what
intimate
I'm
because
saying.
the husband didn't want to have kids.
I was given a reason for a man to say he don't want he if he's saying he don't want any more kids, The only way biblically he cannot have any more kids is to refrain from sex or to refrain from being intimate
But
with his
there's
wife.
a lot of people that are not going. You're saying biblically, and I respect that. But there's we're talking to a group a bunch of viewers where they might not be familiar with scripture. So when you're in
No,
a
I'm only
marriage,
giving you the reason for the man being able to withhold sex. I'm not talking to
I've
them. I'm
been
talking to you,
withhold sex
and I'm
for other
saying
reasons than
that,
that. I'm just saying
ma'am, I'm
there's
saying if a
situations.
man came to you and said that he was withholding sex because he didn't want no more kids, this is just you. And if you got a belief in the Bible and he got a belief in the Bible, that's the only way. So now, how do you take it if the man is saying he don't want
Okay,
to be?
so if it's in the Bible, okay, that's why I said you pushed me in a corner with that question. So for that, I would answer, okay, he's the head. Okay, if that's what it is, okay, I guess that's the end of my intimate days.
I
I'm
mean,
not
could you?
gonna.
Okay,
That's.
what could
But
you
I've been in
accept it?
situations where this has been a thing, and it wasn't about the kid. So that's why I can answer that because women are not the only ones that withhold sex. I've been in plenty of situations, that just means the person didn't want you. But what I'm saying is, in a situation, if somebody's withholding sex and it's because you're just doing it, and I find out, or someone finds out that, okay, you're not being intimate with me, there's nothing wrong with your mental health. You don't have a medical issue for, to back that up. If you just totally cut off intimacy with your mate, and it's not for sickness or something like that, and you're stepping outside of your household, that's a problem. I'm out the
But
door.
that's
Now, if
entirely
he's
different.
doing it not to have kids, let's have a conversation about that. Because if you're talking about biblically, now you're keeping me from, you're saying that I can't use other measures to not, because there's other ways that you don't have to have kids. So I'm just
What
saying, like, you're
what other ways? What other ways biblically you can
biblically.
have
So
that
what you tell
that
me
is
what you
okay
mean by
biblically?
biblically. If you're what are you talking about? Because the
The only
Bible's saying
way,
that somebody can't use that's something that I'm not knowledgeable about. The Bible's saying people can't use a condom or something like that.
no, we're not
Okay,
supposed to use any type of contraceptives because see, the Bible
I
says
never was taught
God,
that.
God
That's
says He don't
different.
put no more on you than you could bear.
Is that what that means though? Is that you're equating that scripture with that's saying you can't use a contraceptive or something?
No, He always
Where
it
in
was
the
all
Bible does it say that? I'm trying to get knowledge. I never knew that you can't use a contraceptive if you're having. That's crazy. Can you imagine if we all like? That's why I get it. Marriage is supposed to be where you have intimacy with your mate. But can you imagine how this world would be if that wasn't a thing that was invented? Mm,
Yolanda. Are you straight over there, Yolanda? Are you?
it's crazy.
Hello,
Mm-mm.
I can't. It's choppy for me. I guess my signal bar is so low. I can't even. I'm missing the whole conversation. I'm trying to fix my box,
Oh,
The
okay.
I don't,
so
Luke. You keep
it's
pushing,
the whole
smashing it
conversation
together.
is choppy.
Okay. But no, like I said, no, you're not supposed to use contraceptive. Contraceptives were never supposed to be used because, see, in order for us, he said, okay, you take a wife. See, he didn't say take a wife. As many kids, that's why I tell you, people had back in the day would have multiple kids,
Mm-hmm.
and they would have kids growing up. The family would be like 16 strong. And with that
Yeah,
being said, see, there were no contraceptives because they didn't believe that as biblically is not right because that's still a form of wasting seeds.
yeah.
And you're supposed to take your seed serious. See? So when
But
you
yeah, I get that.
so
So yeah, so
yeah,
I get that because you're supposed to be married when you're having, intercourse with someone. So yes, that's God's way. But what you just did though, I just want to point that out because when I was asked, okay, when I said that if there's, someone stepping outside of their marriage or they're withholding intimacy from their mate, you went to the extreme for the man and you said he no longer wants to have kids, so he withholds it from you. And I just want you to know that that's so extreme, because I get it. You're a man, so you have to bat
No,
for men.
it
But
wasn't.
I just
See,
want you to know
what
women
I
are not the only
what I
ones,
said,
because
ma'am, you misquoted
withholding.
what I said. What I said was I gave an example. See, like if you said what, okay, so if you said, well, what could possibly get this man not to skate on ice? Well, he ain't got no ice skates. Okay, see that I was just giving a reason
But
for
you
it.
took it to the
So
Bible and you said, okay, he's withholding. He doesn't want any more kids. He's the head of the house. And
no,
you
I was giving a reason.
basically, you,
I
so
was
you took
only
it
giving,
there for the
ma'am,
man though. But
you gotta stop to listen. I only gave that as a reason. So if a man said he wanted to stop, okay, you as a woman, and he said he don't want to have any more kids, could
yeah,
you deal with him
okay.
not having sex with you because of it?
He doesn't want
That was a
any.
question.
Chances are I wouldn't want any more kids either. So that's fine. If it's something like that where he's saying no more kids, like I said, he's the head of the household. I will have to go. Like I said, you push the Bible on me. So yes, I have to stay in line with that. But if he's withholding sex from me, and I find that he's giving that sex that I'm supposed to get to someone else, now we have an issue, because that was supposed to be for me, our marriage bed. And when you if you have a medical issue, by all means, and if you have something going on, I'm going to be that for better for worse is going to be through and through. I'm going to honor that with everything. But if you are in a marriage with me and you are withholding that from me, but yet somebody down the street is getting that, now I have to look at that different,
Yeah.
because now it's just you just don't want to do that with me, but somebody, you started something else.
Well,
So
see,
Mhm.
no,
that is different. That's
there's
why.
different answers for different
No, but
questions here, because
that's why I gave you a reason. I said all I did was add to the equation a reason why the man. Because see, most of the time, a man don't withhold because a man, again, most men need sex. Most women want sex
I hear
or
you.
want
I
something.
And this
So
is the thing, and
most of the time, a man ain't gonna give you that.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you 100%. But when you say most of the time men don't withhold, Luke, I have to say, it doesn't matter what the scenario or the situation. I don't know where you get the information that you have, but I'm pretty sure if we did a poll, I'm pretty sure there'll be some women that have had that happen. Okay, because some
Mhm.
I'm
men, not every man is a masculine man. Some men actually operate with feelings, and when they cheat, they'll stop doing stuff with the wife at home. Okay, they act like the female, because usually when women cheat, I get it. They're emotionally attached to this new person. Now the guy at home, she's not even looking his way to even lay in between the sheets with her own husband. But there are some men out there that are like that, and you can tell. That's why some of us women were able to detect that. Like, okay, he's
Let me
acting
ask you a
different.
question.
He's not
Can
in
I
the
ask you a
mood
question?
no more. What's going on? You start to
See,
notice a
what
change.
I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, for the most part, men are more sexual. That's why if you go on any dating site, most of the time, most of the women profiles are going to say, if you're here for just sex, pass me by. The majority of women are going to say that because the majority of men are thinking that. So that's
Mhm.
why we're saying that we're more sexual creatures. We were designed to procreate. So
Well,
that's
I
why
know.
we
And
said,
having that,
I'm not
yes,
saying,
and because
that's
you're
like saying,
you're a sexual creature. So
that's
in a marriage,
like
if
saying,
that
hold on.
stops, that's a problem. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Yolanda, you were saying
No, go
something.
ahead. Go
Well,
ahead.
even from being from what he's saying, from my situation, it was different. So I was the more sexual, and mine used to use it as a punishment to me to withhold from me just because it was something that I wanted. You know what I'm saying? That he knew I wanted. So he would use that as it's like I can't, how am I gonna get it if you don't give it to me? I can't take it. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm.
so everybody's situation is different,
It is. Yeah.
when it comes to that, because that was my case.
And I've experienced something similar to that in a
Mhm.
couple times where that has been a thing. So that's why and here you have two women on the same panel who have had this happen.
Mhm.
So my thing, this is a thing. It's not just women that withhold. It's a thing that happens. So when is grace supposed to stop being given for something like that, especially when it's purposely being done. Because I get
Mhm.
it, for better or worse, but come on, if you're overlooking me and you're stepping outside the house, or if you're withholding it as a punishment, because I don't understand why people do that. They'll withhold it, and it's like you're pushing somebody into temptation if they go to work
Exactly.
or something like that. And then when they step outside of you, then they start to scream, I cannot believe she cheated on me, or I can't believe he cheated on me. But you're withholding it, and you know that this person desires it with you, but you're not giving it to them. So what are you expecting them to do? And I'm not saying cheating is ever, that should ever be the answer, but you are pushing them into that temptation. So when somebody comes up to them and they say the right things and they're going to work horny, why would you send your mate to work horny? Who
Again,
does that?
but that's
Who
the whole
does,
thing, because
who does
but that's
that?
the process, though. You're supposed to be disciplined. We are supposed to be
I
disciplined
get that, but you're
in
not
that
supposed to
in that
withhold
venture.
sex from your mate either, though. We have to look at the other
Uh,
person who's causing that. Why are you
again,
withholding that as a
but
punishment?
you still, it still has to. I understand nobody should hold it as punishment, but the point here, for years and years, the man has been told to sleep on the couch. The man has been told he ain't gonna get none tonight, because that's the way it works. But at the same time, I don't know too many men. That's a different man. That's gonna hold out. I don't know. Like I said, I have yet to meet those guys, and I hope to do.
But
Mhm.
And
you,
they don't
but
make
the
up a.
crazy part is today, Luke, that what should be saying, it's not just the guys that's not going to hold out. It's the women too. True story.
That's what.
Because you
No,
know something, you have
women
women
are
today
known
that are
for
not going to
holding
hold
out.
out because
But women
it's
are known for that. Women have been known for that.
they're
That's where the
not going to.
sleeping on the
Some
couch
of them
come
are not.
from. They used to
Some of
tell
them are
men
not going
back
to
in the
wait.
day. Okay, you done?
Oh, I didn't hear you talk. There's a pause in that. Go ahead. You can go
Oh
ahead.
no. They have been telling men from the beginning of time about sleeping on couches. And see, you ever notice women use the phrase, you never hear a man say you're not getting none tonight. Men don't say stuff like that. See, I could be super mad at you, but if you come in the room and I'm an anger gone, where your anger will stay. See, it's a difference, because a man needs sex, a woman wants sex. Those are two
That's
different things. So again, like I said, I don't know too many men that turns it down like that.
I
Because
do.
see,
That's crazy, but
that's
that's why
that's
I said
not good.
today you have a difference. I
You
know
know
you want to
that.
speak for back in the day because that's every movie that we've ever seen. What you just said, okay, go sleep on the couch, and she's throwing the pillows at him. But
Because that's
today
fact.
we live at a time where, yeah, you do have people that she might want to, and he's oh no, and he'll stay out in the house long. You have men that'll do that now because you have a lot of gamers in the world. They might stay on the game long, knowing, hey, she's going to go to sleep soon, and now here we go, another night without it. So it's different forms of punishment that people do, and it's not just the woman. And I get it, the whole TV scene where she's making them sleep on the couch. I've never seen that happen. I don't know any friends that do that with their husband, but if that's still going on, that's crazy. But
I know, right?
that's crazy. But yeah.
But no, that because see, again, that has always been a part of our society. That's where, even when we get down to understanding all of the things with the no me no, see, all that came from that. It didn't come in. Not too many brothers, or not too many men will have an issue with saying no. See, we don't care. We tend to,
Mm,
like I said, because the way we're geared. Again, like I said,
okay.
she giving me something I heard for the first time, where she's saying a man is saying, I'm gonna punish you by not doing it. See,
He's
Yeah.
not
that
saying
yeah.
it. He's not saying it, but he's holding back, knowingly.
Oh,
And she
okay.
says she's experienced that as well. Like, he's not going to say it. He's not saying that. It's
Yeah.
just how he's, because I can't take it. He could take me with, I can have
Mm.
attitude and you can still get me if you can get hard. But if you're in a
Yeah.
place where you're trying to, you don't want me to have you, or you don't want me to get it because that's what I want, then you can keep me from getting it. I can't keep you from getting it. Like,
True.
Oh, oh
True.
yeah,
And the
you
same
can.
thing, like they're not voicing. That's
No.
not something they're coming and say, hey, they're not
because it's
doing
not
what
something
you
that
just said.
Yeah, because it's
Disrupt.
not something that I want it. I've never like just being married. I've never been in a position where I'm turning you down. Like I'm never going to turn my husband down. So that's never a problem. So,
Mm-hmm.
but because that that's something that because some people are more sexual than others in their relationship in their marriage. It could be the man. It could be and sometimes the men there if they lack confidence in their
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 perform
ability to have
that
sex or whatever
confidence
they
in their
got going on.
performance. Yeah.
Yeah, or if they have health issues, whatever they got going on, you know what I'm saying?
See, for
That play
health
a lot
issues,
on it.
now for health issues, you said health issues. Health issues, okay, I'm giving you grace. There's something wrong. Let's figure out something else. If it's something you could still do something, let's do that. I'm not going to sit here, but if you are withholding just to be withholding, that's a problem. That for better or worse thing, I can do that for so long, but I'm a woman and I like to be desired. And I know, Luke, you try to
Can I ask you a
you
question?
usually say, hold on, you usually say that, oh, a woman, she wants sex, she doesn't need sex. But when you're in a marriage, okay, I got married for that. Let's just be honest. I got married to do that. That's the reason I did get married, because that, not only that, but to have a relationship with someone for the rest of my life, somebody that I could call my best friend, my husband, my spouse, just do life with.
Mm-hmm.
But you get married to do what adults do. That's one of the main things in a marriage is
Mm-hmm.
we should be able to have a healthy marriage bed. So when you decide to zip your zipper up, that could create an issue, because especially if you don't have a medical issue. So now I have to look at that as you don't want me. Because if,
What?
Luke, you're telling me, you're talking for men and you're saying men, there's men not going to say no. They're not going to say no. So if you tell me that's the mindset of a man, and I have a man saying no, I have to say, wow, does he even love me? Because Luke is saying most men don't
You,
zip up their zippers,
you
and if
are.
I'm experiencing that, then what?
Oh, well, see, it's according, like I said, for how and why you are experiencing it. Now, we didn't go into the details of why you're
Hold on.
experiencing it.
Hold on one second before, let's read the chat. It looks like we have a couple of things we missed in the chat. I don't want to
Oh, no,
miss
I've been
that.
posting them up on the board,
Yeah,
and
but I
it's
don't
his,
see.
just a bunch of smiley faces.
Oh, okay. I don't see it on my end. For some reason, our screen it's like expanded, so I can't even see the chat tonight. But
And
okay.
he said, well, his will for your life, LLC said, Luke is right. And prior
Okay.
to that, sex is only 10% of marriage. And
Okay.
prior to that, he said, wow. And he said, that's true, Shay. Prior
Okay.
to that, we going back. How many people married for convenience? The point I was trying to make is, again, sex is a big part of marriage, but by the same token, see, if I said to you, okay, at what point in life, see, of the sacrificing of the whole thing of just saying, you going through a different time. As a, I want to say as a Christian, as a follower, see, I have to still have discipline to be able to stop. Just like I tried to tell you before, if men in the Bible had many wives in the Bible, you can say, well, God didn't condone having many wives, but the men in the Bible had many wives for a reason. See, because again, so when a man gets with a woman and he decides to marry, he's saying that's the whole thing. He's committing to just you, meaning that he still have desire to sleep with many, but because of his relationship with God, he's choosing to be with just you. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Your desire ain't, well, it shouldn't be, but I imagine they do, because we have, like I said, that goes back to the masculine new age woman again, because society has perpetuated that too. So now you got that same thing going on there again with
Is
all the
a
people.
is a woman masculine because she wants to be intimate with her husband? I'm trying to understand what the correlation is. I'm saying a woman. So I heard you, Yolanda, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yolanda, where you said that you were the one that wanted more, and sometimes that happens. I mean, some of us are rabbits. What can
Yeah,
you do?
and it
Some of
wasn't
us are
like
rabbits. So does that make her masculine? Because Luke, you say that a woman's not supposed to. A woman wants sex. She doesn't need it. A man needs it, is what you say. So when you have a woman who wants to be intimate with her husband, or she's pulling his arm and she's the one that's the initiator, you consider that masculine?
Well, when the feminist movement started, okay, one of the things the feminist movement wanted to do, it said, well, if a man can sleep with 1,000 women, why can't a woman sleep with 1,000 men?
I'm trying to
See,
how
because
you
that
answer my
wasn't the nature. That wasn't the nature of a woman. See, that's what we're saying. It wasn't the nature of a woman. That's why when you go on any dating sites, go onto any dating site, go read any of the women profiles, and all of them will say the same thing. When we did the list of how to put these things in order, what was the thing they put last in their order? What was it? What was it, Shay? What was it?
Well,
What we
the
did all
most
these
of the
women.
women,
What did they put last?
the show that we did, most of the women were putting sex last.
There you go.
And
Because see,
and that's what
and
I'm trying
most
to
of the
say.
men,
But you said that they should be
most of the
putting it
men,
last
no,
though.
but most men is gonna put that first. See,
Yeah.
so when I meet you, the very first thing I want to do is that. See, that's why most women in dating sites and in any type of where we're interacting with
Dating
each other,
site.
the
That's
woman is already dispelling that notion. If it's only about intimacy, don't you can go past me. Because see, that's the main thing that's on the man's mind. Because we're geared sexually.
but what
You're not
guy, and
geared sexually.
you're saying
You
a
have
dating
not
site.
you
What
have not 1 ounce of testosterone in you. See, I'm saying all of this is coming from society today.
yeah.
This is the society we live in. It wasn't a time. That's why I said back in the day, women wasn't breaking their necks to sleep with you.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't happening like that. But today, like I said, is off the chain because it's become more masculine.
but we
And you got
can't win with y'all either way, because if we would have
Yeah.
put sex first, then you're
Yes.
still judging us.
We would have been called
You're still
masculine.
gonna look at us
no,
a
but
certain
And you
way.
want to know something, Yolanda? That's why
Uh-huh.
I didn't put it first, because talking to Luke, being friends with him for the past 4 years, that used to be first for me. Okay, aside next to love, sex was like top of the list for me.
Uh-huh.
Well, that shouldn't be,
well,
a good woman.
Yeah,
She's not gonna
well,
value sex so high,
let me
because
ask
that's
let
not.
me ask this,
Women don't
Yolanda.
need
exactly.
that. But now today
Let me
he's
a-
saying that
let me
that should
ask this.
be up at the
Why
top. So
would
it's like,
if you put it first, why would a man look at it negatively?
because
Because that's
you
how
just
No,
y'all.
I,
saying that
I
a
asked
woman doesn't
Yolanda.
need
I
it.
just
She
asked
she she
Yolanda
wants
But
it
why did
that's
why
how
would you
y'all are. You
feel
just
that
said
men
it
look
was
at it negative?
masculine.
because
You
you
said what
just
now?
called a woman masculine
You
if
just
she wants it like that. You just said she's masculine. She's portraying manly traits. So we, like Yolanda said, you'd be darned if you do, you'd be darned if you don't. Most men
That's
will
not,
say, "Oh, I
if
want a
that
woman to be
again.
a rabbit," but then
What
it's
I
like,
what I
okay, you
said.
get a woman
What
that's a rabbit and
see
she's
you,
ready to
ma'am,
go whenever you are. Then you're
ma'am, you're
looking at
doing
her
too much
like, "Oh."
talking.
I'm
I'm
just
trying to get
saying,
an
you
answer,
guys don't know what you want when it comes to the bedroom. Then,
ma'am.
and that's the,
We
for better or
stated
worse,
again. Nobody
needs to
is
be a
not about what we
discussion.
want. I asked a question. The question was, why is it that if you said you wanted, if you put it first, why is the man going to judge you? What is he judging you by?
Because you
I,
like to be
but what
intimate.
I'm saying, you just said that that's masculine for a woman
Yeah,
to.
I
So
didn't say
that's
it was
my
man. I
thing.
said
Y'all will judge us
I
even if we
no,
put that.
we're not
e-
judging you when we say that. What I'm saying is society has perpetuated this whole mindset. That's what I'm
But
saying to you
even when a
now.
woman, even now with the sexy red, all the young people who are coming and expressing
yeah.
themselves sexually, which I, I'm not as open like that, but they're saying the things that we're thinking and the way that we have felt for a long time that we keep in because we're trying to be feminine and
Uh-huh.
ladylike. You
Okay,
know what
but
I'm saying?
okay, so where's that coming from? Why do you think now when I was growing up, we had to beg? Why is it now it's so easy to get?
Because
What
it's in
happened
the
between
song.
those two times?
Because now you're talking about a generation. You're
No,
going back
see,
to like the 80s.
I asked the
Now in
question.
this
You're
time
not
and age,
answering the question. And so
there's
the
a
question is,
difference. You didn't let me
how did
answer.
you get here? The point
You're
I'm
not
trying to
let.
make is
I was
that
trying to
again,
answer that. I
No,
was
you can't
answering
answer
it.
it with where you started.
But you're
I'm
cutting me
saying, so
off.
what do
How
you
can you
think
hear me
happened?
answer?
What do you think happened in society that pushed it to this level?
I was
Because you
answering that, Luke. I was answering that by saying in the 80s when we were growing up, okay, when we 90s, 80s, okay, you didn't have all this stuff. Our songs didn't have all this
see,
all the in these songs it tells you everything that you want to do. Like she just said, the songs are saying things that people were probably thinking but couldn't say. You have the TV shows, you have everything. You have social media. When I was growing up, there was no internet. You keep speaking of dating sites. Everything is easily accessed right now. You can just go right on your computer, and I'm pretty
just
sure you can
because
find
it's
somebody
easy. Well,
tonight.
okay,
Hold on a second. You can find somebody tonight. There's a difference in this time and age than back then. My grandmother and my mother didn't have the internet. Nobody
uh,
had plenty
what
of
I'm
space
saying
in none
is,
of these
see,
dating
you right.
sites.
You are absolutely right. You hit it right
So
on the head.
everything's more
Because
sexualized today, is what I'm saying.
again, and so
It
that's the
is.
point. So what I'm saying to you today, that still wasn't supposed to be the nature of woman. That was what society, and I'm gonna use society, not the devil, but society. That's what it put out there. So that's why you got it. What I'm saying, it wasn't supposed to be like that. And I'm not calling you masculine. I'm saying that wasn't supposed to be your nature. Now they're
Right.
talking about right now, girls from 14 to 21. They're averaging 19 to 15 partners.
Yeah,
See?
that's crazy. But
And
yeah.
then go look at how many women actually have, or let's go with that, actually have orgasm from intercourse.
That's a
See?
whole nother
Look at how low the
topic.
number is.
That's a whole nother topic because if I love somebody,
No,
we
what
want to
I'm
go
saying,
there.
no,
If
ma'am,
as
ma'am,
women, we
ma'am.
probably sometimes we
See,
don't,
what
but
I'm,
guess but
ma'am,
listen, if you
please
love
don't start
somebody,
with
you
that.
still want him to come home to you.
The
You
point
still
I'm
want to be
making
desired.
is if you go look at the man's point of doing it, the man he's not messing with you and he's not coming out of it. It's almost 99% of men who have intercourse come out with what they want. It's
Okay, so
like
what
only
was the point of
15% of
that? I'm
women
trying to
doing it.
understand what the point of that to bring up the orgasm. What was the point of that? That women don't have them. You're saying so she shouldn't be so sexualized, is what you're saying?
No, from intercourse. Go look it up. And that's just intercourse. So if I'm saying to you, if a man couldn't have, if the man didn't get his, okay, we're gonna use that. He didn't get his, he would stop. It's too much work for nothing. But
So
most men, 99% of men, are going to get theirs when they do it. If
so
I'm telling you, okay,
I can't
so go
speak
ahead.
for every woman, and I agree with that whole thing because you can kind of women we can see when he gets his. That's you guys are there's nothing to hide there. But the thing about it is when you have a woman, I can't speak for every woman, but we have it starts up here for most women. It's in the mind. It could be how that person approached you. And like you said, most of the hours you spend more hours at work sometimes than you do at home. So when you have
That's
somebody
building
that
a
you're
relationship.
meeting at work and now it gets in the mind when you start the texting and everything, she's already daydreaming about this person at some point when it gets to that level. So when you do go there and you guys hook up, because maybe there's an issue. If she's stepping outside of her household, I don't know. She might be lacking the attention she desires at home or whatever. And this guy's giving it to her at work. Maybe that's his goal to get, between the sheets. But either way, it starts up here in the mind. A woman's orgasm doesn't necessarily have to come from the place where you're talking. It's the desire. You're being desired. Somebody wants you.
Ma'am,
Sometimes the
the reason
gratification
I
is
said that,
that
ma'am,
I
the
made that
reason
happen for him,
the reason I
so
said that, that's most of the time, that's the addiction for a man. That's the addiction. That's where it
okay.
comes from. The point here is, see what I'm saying? You have nothing in that sense of addiction. I understand your
That's not
feelings.
true for everybody though. That's
Okay.
not true for everybody.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know where you're getting your
I'm done.
statistics from, but that's not true for everybody.
Ma'am, I didn't,
There women
ma'am. That has been happening since the beginning of time. That's why men were more prone to cheat. Again, that's why in the Bible, men had more than one wife. See,
Okay,
this is
so
all
But
throughout.
you're
See,
basing that
these
off
are the
of,
statistics you got to go
yeah,
by.
I get that, but you're basing that off of you brought that up for some reason that okay, the women are cheating, but they don't even. You're saying a lot of them don't have orgasms, but you're okay. There's more
Because
to the
that
bedroom.
is
There's
that's
more to the
the
bedroom
addiction.
just intercourse. She might have that another way, and maybe that person is doing that other thing that allows her to have that orgasm. There's other ways to get orgasm, just intercourse. So
Ma'am,
I
ma'am,
doubt
ma'am,
women
ma'am.
are going out
That's
here
what.
and not having some kind of,
Okay.
that's
So
crazy.
you long-winded here, buddy. But like
Well,
I just said,
because what you said doesn't make sense. Intercourse is not the only way that people are out here having.
but
Women
no,
have
what I
other ways to have that
if
happen
you
with
would if
a
you would
male. So
listen, that's the addiction. That generally makes you addicted to it. That's where that comes from. If you were if I sit here and look at you and burn you with a cigarette lighter, how many times do you think I'm gonna burn you with the cigarette lighter? You gonna say, "Come on, I like that. I'm feeling that." See, the point here is you're what you're giving me. I'm giving you why men do it. I'm giving you why
okay,
men would be more inclined to cheat because they're addicted to that. That's why that man can say, "Well, I can go out here and do this with this person and still come home to you and love you," because men don't. They're addicted to that whole thing. That's the addiction for it. That's where if you looked at it from this aspect of everybody was perfect,
hmm,
everybody was perfect, then that man would be addicted to his wife.
yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
That was the goal. Because he would definitely come home to his wife. The point here is, but they are addicted to sex when you go out, when you're addicted to the intimacy of it all. See, what I'm saying is, I'm trying to understand your addiction.
Let's see, when you say that, it makes it hard. The way you talk about men and that addiction, it's like, somebody who's not married would be like, well, what the heck is the point if he's so addicted? What if I'm not enough? It almost sounds like the one woman's not enough. And it's like, okay,
Again, that's why we said this. See, because that's why marriage is a holy matrimony. It's a promise by a man to be faithful to one, but he's honoring God in that stance because God, that's a command God gave you. See, I just told you the men in the Bible had many wives,
yeah.
but God was asking you to
Yeah.
have one. So you
Hmm.
honor God by doing the one. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean you can't do many because it's still saying because that's the nature of man. Man was addicted to that from the beginning. When David walked onto the rooftop, and David was described in the Bible after God's own heart. But when he saw Bathsheba, he had to have some.
Yeah.
That's the
And
reality. See, so
yeah.
when you go into places, like I said, a woman picks out the people she wants to be intimate with. See, a man
Hmm.
doesn't. It doesn't necessarily got to do with any of that. You're going to be cautious of the things you want to do, but that man isn't. That's what I'm saying. So I'm trying to understand when I use the word addiction, that's the need for it. I'm trying to understand yours. Why you got such a high one? Because see, that's what because
Who
that's
has a high one?
Well,
that's
that's not so for me, I'm stimulated by being taken care of, and like so my husband worked every day. He came home
uh-huh.
every day. He took
Okay.
care of the home. He did homework with the kids. He would help cook sometimes. He did so many things. And because of who he was as a man and what he did, that turns me on. So even now being single, it's not easy just to have sex because I guess is more for me the traditional way, like I'm stimulated by being taken care of, being loved properly. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? A
Okay.
man being a man, that's so sexy to me. Like to be able
Yeah.
to for him to come home from work every day, you're coming home to us, that kind of stuff right there take me to a whole nother level, knowing that you went out and worked for us and you came home. So whatever it is that you need for me to do, I want to do it for you. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So for me, the intimacy is running your bath water, doing your feet. You know what I'm saying?
I
Being able
feel
to
you.
hold you,
Mm-hmm.
it's so much more than if you too tired. Cause I know I was 12 years younger than my husband. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I
Mm-hmm.
understand like he can't go like I can go. You know what I'm saying? But because I'm so satisfied in what you're doing and who you're being daily, it's I can go without it sometimes. I'm mature enough to not, have to be,
Yeah.
Gotta have it like that. It didn't
But
start off like that. I had to grow. I had to mature because I was 24, when I got married. So I'm looking like, what is going on? I got to, this is not happening. But over time, I matured and I was able to see that, whoa, this is so much more. So even now, trying to date someone and meeting someone to meet those type of standards is hard because I want to be able to, I get off on serving you. Like for me, being able to take care of you when you come home from work is like, man, that's like she said, that's stimulating right there.
Yeah.
mhm.
That's
Yes.
stimulating,
Yes.
and I don't know how many people have experienced that, but having a husband that provides and take care and come in and do, to me, I feel like that make me feel like you want me because you went out and did what you did for our family. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I'm already ready for whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's it just depends on the person, and that's what made
Okay.
me, that's what crunk up my tank, that's crank my
Mhm.
tank, what I'm saying? Being taken care of, being loved properly, a man being a full man, just
Okay.
like I'm
I
not
feel you on
expecting
that.
you. Huh?
I feel you on that. That's what I was
Yeah,
asking for. That answer.
yeah.
That's exactly what I was trying to
So
find
that's
out.
the
That's what.
stimulation right there. It's not even like, that's what made me want him so much. You know what I'm saying? Even now, like, even the man that he is now, he's still that man. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Even outside, because he's a man, he's a full man,
Oh,
and I could, just now being around what I'm seeing, if anybody should get it, should be him because of who he is and how he is even now when I'm not even with him. You know what I'm saying? because
okay.
because of what he does and how he provides and how he cares and how he take care of what needs to be taken care of. So I just feel like some women are stimulated by different things,
Mhm.
that makes them like that. Of course, like you said, we all have different things that we may have experienced in our background, that may have us more sexual than others. And then we may have everybody, the age difference, you know,
Yeah.
and some people are just not sexual people. Some people are just not sexual. Like he was not like me. Like I'm on a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying? But hey, I don't want to be with somebody who can be having sex all the time, but they won't take that butt to work and they don't want to take care and provide, but they want to swing their thing and do it all the time. I prefer to have
Yeah.
somebody who has balance and who knows how to take care of their family, who knows how to provide, who knows how to balance out their life.
Mhm.
To me, that's so important. That's not, I don't care about somebody just know how to work their thing. That's not enough, you know.
Okay.
And I
Yep.
think that's what with us too. Like, we it's not like we're not trying to say that we're not interested in, we're not as sexual as men when we don't put that first. It's just that it's not being, we're not looked at as a lady when we go head on with that. You don't look at us who, you don't want to marry someone who puts that out first. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
see,
You huh?
but I think that's different, and in the way you just put it out there. See, that's what I'm saying. If you put it in the confines of a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
then it's seen as respectful. That's saying you desire your husband. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. Ain't no man gonna look at you any different because, but like I said, we have certain, the Suki Hanas and the sexy reds. See, that's not a husband thing. So then
But
it
see,
becomes.
but like you said on the site, if they would have put that stuff first, how would you look at them? Like if we were to put that, I feel like I got a mixture of Suki, Cardi B, everybody
But see,
inside of me.
that question was, what order would you put? What is the most important, or what was the most important? And then they start putting them in order in a relationship. See, so I'm
Oh,
saying,
and they
like
put
me
that
being a
in the
man,
yeah,
yeah,
they put
me
that
being a
last.
man,
No,
I would
yeah.
have put I would have put sex first, but I would have looked out for the woman and put love second. It was like sex. It was sex, love. It was sex, love, trust, and what was the other one? Time. And so the women started putting them in order. But every woman that put it in order put
Sex lasts.
Intimacy lasts.
Because just when you think about a woman and you think about yourself as a man and you have a daughter, did you want sex to be her first word that she's looking for in her relationship? That's
Oh
what.
no, the question was, in a relationship,
Yeah.
which one of these was most important? Time, love, sex, or trust? So, but the women took them and started putting it in order. That's what they did. They said,
Yeah,
but you
but
got
I'm
to think.
saying,
You're
how would
thinking
you
for,
look at someone? Like
I
I'm
would I
saying,
would look at the same way, because see, if she's married, that's the part of the relationship.
yeah.
So I would look at it the same way. I'm expecting that to be a part of the relationship. But what I'm saying
Okay.
is, I'm thinking for you. The question was asked them to think for you and your man.
So,
Okay.
To think for
and
you and your man. Okay.
yeah,
But you want so you want for you to think about a wife. For a wife, you want her to have sex above trust and loving you.
no, because I am that person. We've had this conversation. Like I said, we've had this. That's where, like she said earlier, it's like you don't, you'd be darned if you do, you'd be darned if you don't, as a woman,
You're
because
not.
plenty of
Well,
conversations, hold on, let me, plenty of
no, because you.
conversations we've had where I was putting sex up there in my marriage. I was putting it up there, and I'm like, I want the conversations I put it in my relationships, and talked about all my relationships, and I said, I was never the type of person to say, no, I'm not going to say no in my relationship. I was never to go sleep on the couch chick. I've never done that. And your thing was, okay, well, a woman, that shouldn't be important to a woman. But my thing is this, just like Yolanda was saying, it doesn't necessarily have to be, I'm sitting here, having horny feelings, or it means, okay, I want to be intimate with my spouse. It means, okay, we can get
Well, see,
together. There's things that
what
I'm turned on. It
what
doesn't
I,
have
what
to
I was
be
saying,
just something that's
what
sexual.
I
It's like,
what I was.
but you
Mhm.
told me that, that shouldn't be a woman's mindset to have that as a high rating. Like she should be able to go without it and be
I
fine. But
I
then now
never
you're
said.
saying that
See,
she should be,
that's not. That is not what I said. I did not say that. So don't put the words in my mouth. What I said
yeah, you
was,
made me
in
feel
the
like I was
confines,
like a
in
dirty
the confine.
masculine
Again, you
person
can
for
feel
wanting to be
what you
intimate
feel
in
like.
my marriage.
What you feel like and what's actually being said are two different things. How a person understands what's being said and how. I just said to you, in the confines of a relationship, that was the question. Meaning, you had two people in the relationship. What
Mhm.
is the most important? You could have picked one and said it was the most important, and it would have been respected. But the women started putting them in order. And in that order, they put sex last. You're thinking for two people. You're not thinking for yourself. Every woman put
Yeah,
it
I
in
think
order for
sex would have
themselves.
been second. Yeah, sex would have probably been
That's what
second.
I'm saying. So every woman put it in the order for themselves because sex was last. That's all I'm saying. It wasn't
Mhm.
saying that it's not important to you. I'm saying if you're in a relationship and you're perpetuating it, that's different because we're looking at that's what you do with your mate. Nobody telling you not to do that with your mate. What I'm saying is our society projected now where you don't have a mate. And the people that you're talking about putting it out there they're not giving you a mate. They're saying they're just doing it. So that pushes on another mindset. And that's what I'm saying. You become over sexualized. That's the point we were making. And so now because you out here saying it and you ain't got a husband. We got a what? 3 to 4% marriage rate now in America. So
Yeah.
who's getting all of this? We're more sexual, but sex was created for a marriage.
And then more, you have more sex when you married than you single. Anyway, I don't know why people think
Yes.
that you're having more sex single.
Oh, you have to
Well,
beg,
it depends on.
you got to beg the differ on that one.
Huh? You
I
said
can't
what?
go on that road. When you talking about they have more sex as married than they do single,
Yeah,
That's a
well,
good
I have more
question.
sex being
That's
I
a
don't
married
good
than
question.
beg to differ on that one because I mean, right now, if we're saying that you got this list of things that they were talking about and how how sexual, like we just had the lady that was just on OnlyFans that slept with 100 men. See,
Oh, yes.
that's unheard of.
In one day. Wait.
Now
In
she's
one
talking about
day.
doing
You
it
have
to
to say
1,000
one day. She did it in one day.
one day. So,
Yeah.
like I said, see, you didn't have this type of stuff. The mindset wasn't there. See, like I said, we even when it comes to having children out of wedlock, see,
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff has changed. It's no big
Mm-hmm.
deal now. Everybody feel like you could do whatever you feel like you want to do anytime you want to do it. That's the society we live in. So that's why I'm saying we used to contain certain things. You kept it between the husband and wife because they'll tell you sex was created for husband and wife. Period. So if you're talking about the stuff you want to do with your husband, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I don't care how excited you get about it. That's up to you. But what I'm saying is when we do this and we're doing it outside of that, outside of the marriage, well, it takes on a different look. That's all I was saying.
And that's
Now,
where it messes up the
now
for
if
better
you
or
out,
worse when you're doing it outside of the marriage. That's when, how many people can handle that because that messes up the trust in the marriage. Everything that we built together, I feel like that messes up so much because you couldn't come to me and have a conversation. It's not that you took your male member outside of the house. Everything you were sneaky about. You There were so many things that I can look at that and say, wow, that's not for better or worse. And like I said, I know as a wife, if because you want to go biblical, with that. So
I don't want
yeah,
to go
I
biblical. That's
know.
what it
I'm
is.
talking about being biblical with that. Yes, where you're supposed to give grace, but even in the Bible it says sexual immorality is not. That's a reason where I don't have to stay in that marriage. I don't. Because if I can't handle it, I don't need to stay in that. Because when you slept with that other person, you totally just exonerated all the vows that we took. Those things are thrown out the door. You know,
Mm.
it's thrown out the door because you basically connected with this other woman, and I have to think I'm a woman, and like you said, a man can go out here and just sleep with another woman and it's fine because it's just that feeling, that sensation, and after he's done it's like, wow, is she gone yet? Like, I don't have nothing to do with her. But I have to look at it that he connected with a woman. Now that woman, those soul ties, she's bonded. Maybe she bonded with him. I don't know how many partners she's been with. He could have been her first. My husband could have been her first. And now she has soul ties with my husband because she's a woman who acts out of emotion. She might be in love with my husband. So now I have to look at that as, now he might have moved on, but now this woman, am I going to now have issues? She's going to be calling him, texting. That's just not going to be a one-time thing for her. She's going to want that to continue. So there's other issues there. That's, for
Well,
better or worse, until you cheat.
experienced
So
I've experienced that in my marriage, and we were able to get past it, and I think it happened maybe twice. I don't know how far it went. He wouldn't go into detail or whatever. And it was a choice that I made, to stay. I don't know if they actually had sex. I don't know the details. I want to know. I mainly, my questions were, what is it that I could have done better? What caused what caused this to happen, or what brought this up and stuff like that. So I was just trying to figure out, what is it that how did you get here? Because I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? So and then the whole thing was, when I'm thinking like, maybe I need to move out the way so you can figure out what you want, because obviously I'm not it. And then, he made sure that he was like, no, please, I want my family. I want this. I messed up, and whatever. He was like, I don't care if you cheat on me or whatever. I don't want to lose my family, this and that. And so, I had to come to grips, to realize, like, is it I know stuff gonna happen. We're gonna be together. If you're planning to be with somebody for the rest of your life, some stuff gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Our kids
Hmm.
disappoint us. Our parents have disappointed us. And that's what a for better or worse come in at. So for me, it was like,
Yeah.
man, I love my husband, I love my family. I was looking at the bigger picture, as to letting it fall apart. So I was able to wither through all of, through those type things, you know, but when you don't want me no more, then that's for me, that's over. That's when it's over. But if you still want me and you still want this, then I have some reason to stay. So for me, even though you cheated, even though you messed up this one time, or you did it twice over a few years, I'm not saying that it's stupid to stay, or it's, you have to choose your thing. But for me, that was a part of
Yeah.
my better or for worse. And when time went by, we was like, oh man, we so glad we didn't give up on our marriage. We so glad that we didn't get here. But for me, when a person don't want you anymore, because I feel like you work too hard to come home to something you don't want. So if you
Yeah.
don't want me, let me go and get what you need, because you deserve to have what you want. You work hard every day. You know what I'm saying? You're a good man. Have what you want. I might be for somebody else now, if you don't want me anymore. But for my better or for worse, was me being in that position, and having to deal with infidelity, and still saying, I'm going to choose my family. I'm going to stay in this marriage. You know what I'm saying? I mean, his good outweighs his
Mhm.
bad. I can't expect for him to be in my life forever. And something bad ain't gonna happen. It's bound to happen. You know what I'm saying? My mama's still my mama, and she has disappointed me. My son is 18, and he's done little things throughout his whole life, and he's disappointed. I can't just throw them away. So I always
Yeah.
looked at my husband like that. I can't just throw him away because he disappointed me. But the moment that you don't want me, let me go. You know what I'm saying? But for better
Yeah.
or for worse, I can wither through any of those things if we want this, if we both
Mhm.
still want this.
I feel
Yeah.
you, and I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And I've
approve of
given
that.
grace too. That's giving grace. So what she's saying is she gave grace. And yes, I've done that. And I always start off with the giving grace thing. And I'm not saying that I'm not hurting behind the scenes, because that's a big betrayal. You stepped outside of our relationship, so it everybody deals with things differently. But you know that's not saying that I haven't given grace, because there's been times, yes, in my relationships where i've
I've
had
given grace.
i've
I'm not
had
gonna
this
just
happen.
say
I don't think I've had a relationship where there wasn't that happening. So with that being said, I've given grace in relationships, and then I got tired of it. I mean, one day I got tired of it, because how many times are you going to do this? You're clearly showing me that you don't want me.
yeah,
And
you're
sometime I'm
habitual.
going to check.
If it's
Sometime
a
I'm going to
habitual,
check out.
if it's a habitual thing, I understand that.
Yes.
So like
Yes.
mine's had certain times. So mine's was one time right after I had my baby, and so that's normal. I gained weight, you know what I'm saying? I was more trying to take care of the baby, so I'm not making an excuse for him. But
Yeah,
then
because
Mm.
that's
it's
not
the
cool to do
season.
if
It,
you had a
huh?
baby in that. Yeah, I wouldn't be. Yeah, it does sound like that, because I don't. Yeah, when you said that
No,
you
no,
had a
I'm just saying,
baby,
but that was the
but
season. That was the season that I would kind of. I'm not saying that I expect for that to happen. It was just that I knew that I fell off. I wasn't who I
okay,
was. You know what I'm saying? I was, because I would get ready for my husband before I got home, before he got home for work, or on my way home from work. I'm
okay,
gonna make sure I'm ready for him to see me. So I slacked up. So he's not used to that. He's not used to that. So I'm not saying that it gives him an excuse to do it, but I can understand, somebody falling off a little bit, if things aren't the way they used to being.
hmm,
And I'm not saying that it makes it right, but you gotta just think in reality, somebody start slacking up,
yeah,
not
yeah,
and it's not making an excuse,
I'm
but I'm
glad
not
you.
saying,
I'm glad
huh?
you. I'm glad you said that, Yolanda. That's deep, because
Yeah.
that's the thing we be trying to get across again. Because men see you. We do everything through our eyes, where you do everything through your ears. See, so what you hear is what builds you up. What we
yeah,
see is what do us.
Yeah.
And we live in a society now. Again, like I said, well, you're supposed to just accept everything, regardless. See,
Mhm.
there's nothing you can't say nothing is bad and nothing everything got to be good. You
Mm-hmm.
can't say what you don't like. You don't have a preference. See? So with that being said, this is the society we live in. And so it looks like when sometimes I'm protecting men, I'm not necessarily, although I am a man, I'm not protecting men. You got to understand things from both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I just said, if you're allocating, again, and even if it's my daughter or my sister, if she's allocating her sex with her husband, I don't have a problem with it because I want sex with my wife. See?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just how this works. But if you're allocating it outside and talking about hot girl summers and all this kind of stuff, and these are the things that push you away, well, if you don't, because a lot of women say they're independent, they don't necessarily need a man. These are the very things that push you away from men.
Yeah.
See, men don't want these things. So when we see it, we don't want it. But if you're talking about in the confines of a relationship, oh, we welcome that. And I'm good with that. I
Yeah.
can't speak for every man. I'm speaking for myself. That's good because see, that's where it's supposed to be. But like I said, we shouldn't. Most of the time, a man doesn't want his friends to see his wife the same way he see him. He don't
Mm-hmm.
want the way you see your wife and the way your friends see your wife should be a different sight. But the way we interjected today, everything is out here. So even with wanting to wear hardly any clothes, that type of stuff, and you
Yeah.
can't nothing about what they got on, and you don't have a comment on what you felt should be best. We don't. That's what I'm saying. It's so much bigger than that. But the
Hmm.
to the subject of the whole thing of for better or worse, that's the whole thing. That's it right there in a nutshell. The better or worse is, yeah, we're gonna have ups and downs. Everybody does. You're gonna have hiccups. Things ain't gonna always work the way you want. But at the same time, do you have the discipline to stop, to take the pause with it, or to stop and to deal with the whole thing? And that's the real question because see, we're garnered to again. Most people are operating off of their feelings. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people operate out their feeling. They're not
Yeah.
operating off of wrong or right. They're operating off of what they feel, and
Hmm.
so that's why you get people getting up and leaving. Like Shay just said a few minutes ago. She said, "Well, I can only take it for so long." Well, see, the Father wants you to take it for the duration and
But
pray
that's
Is
the
about it.
that
thing.
okay? So when I say I can only take it for so long, so that's me. And the same father
Hmm.
that you speak of said that there shouldn't be any sexual immorality in my marriage. So that if I cannot take it, my God, my father said that if I cannot take that, if I cannot handle that, then that would be the only way I
We
would be.
under,
He
but
hates
what I
divorce.
what,
I
see
get that, but we have to
what
say what the
what we
scripture
just
actually
said.
says.
See, that's what we said.
Okay.
We didn't say. I didn't say what God said. I know what
Okay,
God
so
said.
that's what we were talking
So
about. You
again,
said
no, I'm not talking about that. What I just said. That's where better or worse come in.
for
And
better
that's
or
the whole
worse.
point.
And that's
See,
what I'm
okay,
talking about.
you
That's
can
my
you
worst
can
though.
still do some things. You could do some things that God say you not supposed to do. But the point here is he's saying he still hate divorce. And at the same time, it would be better for you to work it out. What I'm saying to you, that's where the better or worse come in at.
But
So it,
at some point, like you said, if you have a person who is habitually doing that, at what point do you, because you can't, even God
okay, that's
don't
what
give
I'm
us
saying.
that many.
You
At
got
some
to
point he gonna put us in a reprobate mind. He's gonna leave us alone. If you
mhm.
keep on doing the same thing and you apologizing, what's gonna come from that if you're not gonna ever stop?
Okay, but you got rights, as she said, to walk away. But what I'm saying to y'all in this sense, if the man decided to stop having
Yeah.
sex, can
Yeah.
you sit with him?
Can
That's the
you
thing.
what?
Can you sit with him? We're talking about now.
Yeah.
Can I go
Yeah.
without? Can I sit here and go without? See, that's different. We only focused on the cheating. What I was talking about is again, if a man said he didn't want it, can I still be his wife and sit there and be disciplined with him? Or do that got a time limit on it? I understand you can't handle the cheating, and God did say that you have the right, if you can't take it, to walk away and you can leave. But
But I
if
don't even think I even when it was a cheating, I don't even think I held out long. There
oh
wasn't
no,
no hold out.
that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to get away from the cheating. I'm going to get to the part where the man says, okay, let's say he don't want to have any more kids, so he stopped being intimate with you. Are you disciplined enough to handle that?
But why would he do that? Why would he not get what they call them?
The question, the question is, are you disciplined enough to handle it? Could I stop with him?
But why would he do that? If you're saying
Yeah.
that a man gotta have it, why would he do that? Why would he?
I'm
That's what I
asking
tried to tell him.
the
I tried to say
question.
that because a man,
But
when
see,
he says to me that
this
a
is a
man
hypothetical question.
needs to have
If
it,
you
why
had to
would he turn
stop
it down?
for any other reason other than the fact that he can't have sex, could you stop having it?
Yeah.
Okay, that was the question. That's all we're
But I
asking.
don't. But
Y'all try to read more into it. Why? I
Well,
don't know
because
why.
you gave me something extreme earlier.
what
So this is the
choice do
thing.
we have? What choice?
Yeah, you gave me something
Well,
extreme
you
earlier
can't.
where you said, "Oh,
But
if
that's
he
where the
wanted to
better
not
or
have
worse
any more
coming
kids."
at. That's what we're saying. The conversation is about better and worse. So if a man said to me he didn't want to have no more kids and stop being intimate with, are you disciplined enough to handle that?
I
That's
can
the
handle that. I can handle that. Like I said, I answered that because when you throw that in, he doesn't want to have more kids, but which it doesn't make sense. I know that's extreme because there's other ways we can not have kids today. There's so many other options that we could still be intimate and not have kids, but that's extreme. But see, something like that or a medical issue, a health issue, one day we're gonna hopefully by the grace of God get old together and we might not function the same way. So yes, I'm going to be able to handle that, but I'm talking about I can't handle when you're just withholding it to hold it. That's a problem.
So
I
that
can't
what I'm
handle
asking
that.
today. In today's time, see, can I be celibate for 10 years?
I mean, I'm not trying to
See,
be celibate for
that's
10 years.
that's
That's
what
not my
I'm saying.
goal.
Because see, that's a part
That's
of it.
not my goal. That might be somebody else's goal, but
But
that's
there
not
are
mine.
some people. There are some
It's,
women and people who are doing that.
Yeah, there's
again, but
people
what I'm
that
saying
choose
to
to
you,
do that.
that
I didn't
again,
get in a
because
marriage to be celibate. I'm sorry. And if he gets sick, that's something
see,
else.
and
But I
so
don't get
the
married to
subject
just
of
hold
better or
hands. We get
worse,
married to have a
that's what the
marriage bed.
subject is about. If I can't do without, that's what better or worse means. See, it's saying that
But if you
It
you will
can,
is.
sit here and say, you
If
will
he's
sit here and
sick,
tell
yeah.
that if a man was hurt medically, I can go without. You
Yeah.
can't go without at all. No, that's a
Yes, I
lie.
can.
Because
If
see,
he's hurt,
if you
that's
can't do it
different.
on your own, you can't do it medically. It's the same thing. You're going without the same thing. See,
No,
just
it's
because a
a
person,
difference when
just
somebody's
because a person,
withholding
no,
it
it's
from
not.
you.
It's not
That's
different.
a difference.
That's not.
There's a
No, it's not.
difference.
I
No,
don't
it's
Yes,
not.
it
understand.
is.
I don't understand.
No,
I
it's
don't
not.
understand how you don't think that's different.
That's different, Luke, because
That's not different.
we operate with our emotions. You
Because
guys may
the
be
same
logic,
thing,
but
the
no,
same
you're not
thing.
being logic right
that-
now.
Yes, I am. Because the same thing it
No.
takes you. If you're sitting here, you just said a few seconds ago, I didn't get married to be celibate.
Yes. If we're
Okay,
both
so
fully
now if a
functioning,
man had
if we're both
ma'am, would you please stop? If a
I'm
man had an
doing it.
illness, if a man had an illness and he couldn't have sex no more, the same thing it would take you to stop there, it would take you to stop in that. And you're
No,
telling me that you couldn't stop here, but you could stop here.
that's
That's
not the
not
same
realistic.
thing. I'm
No,
sorry,
It is.
sir.
it's for
I
better or for worse. Like she's saying,
yeah.
if you're saying, oh, we're gonna stop having sex because we I don't want to have any more kids. Like she said, it's a new time. They have so many
No,
different things out
that
there.
wasn't the question. That wasn't the question. What I said was, see, when a person, I asked the question first, I set it up. I said, can you be celibate for 10 years? And she said, no. See, again,
I
so
didn't
now
get married to be celibate was my answer.
hold on, ma'am, I'm not finished, please.
Okay, but
If,
you got
if
to
your
say my
man,
answer
if
correctly. I said I
your
didn't get
man,
married to be celibate.
that's the same thing, but
No,
we're not.
okay.
You further proving the point. What I'm saying to you now,
Okay.
your man is physically not able to have sex. Now, it takes the same strength to go without here as it would if he was injured and couldn't have sex. It would take the same strength. But she said she did not get married to be celibate. So if I'm saying you can't stop here, how do I expect you to stop over here?
Because he's purposely
She's still human.
stopping. That's different. I love my husband, so if he gets sick, I'm going to be trying to care for
I
him.
don't think you
I don't
understand the
care about,
question.
but if he's doing it on purpose and he's stepping outside of the household,
I
there's
didn't
a
say he did it on
difference.
purpose. What I said,
Yeah.
it takes the same strength
Okay.
to stop you. If my wife couldn't have sex, and I can agree to not have sex, I could be celibate. See? Now, if she couldn't have sex, that's entirely different. The point what I said was it would take the same strength if she could have sex and she decided to stop. It would take the same strength to stop there as it would if she was injured and she couldn't have sex. That's what I'm saying. But when you said I didn't get married to be celibate, see what I'm saying to you is the discipline part of it. That's what we're talking about. For better or worse, it takes discipline. Where I'm gonna say, even though I got rights to leave, I can get up and go, but my discipline says I'm gonna stay and fulfill what I'm supposed to have done. That's
Yeah.
what better or worse means. Because
Yeah.
see, once a
Okay.
person stops giving me what I want, then you know what? I can't go without it. And I'm a man, and I'm saying if a woman had to stop having sex, could you stay with that woman and not have sex with the woman or not be intimate with the woman? I should
I
use.
see people leaving their marriages for that. Honestly, I've seen
That's
men leaving their
my
marriages
point.
because their wife got
My
sick.
point. That's what I was asking you. Do you have the discipline? See, when I
I
ask the
have the
question is,
discipline. I've
can I
lived
sit
it. I have
still
the discipline.
if
I've
I'm
been in relationships. I'm
if
I
my
don't
saying
have
partner
the discipline
I
at this
have
point
the
in my life.
discipline, but what I don't have, okay, I wasn't created to be a dummy, okay? So what I'm not going to tolerate is somebody just doing it, and I see you stepping
well,
outside of our
now,
household.
for better or worse, is
I
saying,
can give
see,
grace for a couple times,
for
but
better
then
or
after
worse,
that,
man,
I
mean,
can't. I'm not going to stay high and dry while some other woman is getting my good graces. That's between your thighs. I'm sorry, I'm not.
see, that's what we talking about.
If he's
For
sick, that's
better,
one thing, but
for
no.
better or worse, see, at the end of the day, see, that's what we talk about. When I say we had a whole session this morning where we talk about giving it to God, giving it to God means I gave it to God. I'm trusting God and the outcome. I don't just go with, okay, I'm high and dry. I'm high and dry, but I'm high and dry believing in God to fix
But
my
God
situation.
also says, because
That's
you keep
entirely
talking about
different.
my God,
Because
and I'm going to
no,
tell you what my God
ma'am,
said.
please
Because don't
stop.
make my God out to be
You
somebody
cutting
he's
off.
not. He
No, because
also said, do
again,
not withhold in your
because
marriage bed. He said, do not withhold from your spouse in the marriage bed. If
again,
we're
but
going to
that
speak about God, let's talk about what God
this
really said.
see,
Because
that's
you
this is
shouldn't
what we
be
talk about
withholding
in this day and time.
intimacy
In this
in a
day and time,
marriage bed.
again, see, that that masculine energy.
No,
The
it's
point,
you're talking
the
the word,
point
so
is
tell the
that.
true word. God, you're talking about God, so tell what he said. You shouldn't be withholding in your marriage. You shouldn't be
But if
withholding
it
intimacy
did
from
happen,
your
that's
spouse.
what the concept of the show tonight, Shay, was what for better or worse. Okay, see, worse can be really worse. And so, and if it can be really better. But at the same time, if it's really worse, can I withhold? Yes. That's the point. And you're
Uh,
sitting there saying, oh no, I can't go without. I
no,
won't stop.
that's
No,
not what I said.
okay,
I
then
said I have
again,
given grace.
you're not
I've given
again.
grace when I've been cheated on and I've stayed in my
We ain't
marriage.
asking
But what
about
I'm
your
not going to do
grace
is keep
for being
repeating
cheated
it.
on. We're saying, can I discipline myself? Because see, again, God take us through many trials and tribulations, and all of them ain't gonna be conducive to where okay, what He says. See, that's the whole point. He had Isaac, Abraham going to take Isaac. See that none of that is godly. God it clearly say, "Well, thou shalt not kill."
Yeah.
But he take you to different places. So again, what I'm saying to you, yeah, you're using the Bible in the right way, but I'm saying for better or
That's
worse
what
takes
matters then.
discipline. It's
Yeah,
about your
if I'm using
discipline.
it in the right
It's
way,
about
that's what
you
I'm
being
saying.
real with yourself.
I'm saying I've given grace, but what I'm not going to do is it shouldn't be something that's lasting for years.
There's
So if
nothing
you're
I'm
having
not
a
going to do.
hold on, hold on a
Again,
second, you're cutting me off. So if he has an issue, people go through things. He could be depressed or whatever. Let's talk about it. Don't just leave your mate high and dry. And I'm coming to you and I'm asking you, hey, is everything all right in our relationship? We're not being intimate, and you have no answers for me, and I'm sitting there. Then that's a problem because you're okay. We have somebody in the chat. Let's look at the chat and Let's see. Can you see the chat? Looks like we got some comments. I don't want to forget about the people that are commenting.
No, we have let me see. Miss Harper, I guess. It says, Luke, your perception of better or worse is out of a personal experience. I'm curious about the trauma shaped your perceptions. See that kind of mindset right there? That is totally ludicrous to me. I'm saying that that's the whole thing. All throughout the Bible, we have dealt with things. See, and this is the mindset of the world. That again, that whatever doesn't fit me and my liking. See, the Bible said in the last days we will be lovers of self, and that's all we concerned with is self.
You don't
And
consider
that's all
somebody
you're saying.
stepping outside of
I'm
their marriage
concerned
the
with
lovers
self.
of self? You don't consider
Again,
that lovers of
As
self?
far as what, to me, as far as what you said, Luke, I get what you're saying, but I don't feel like at this point of my life I'm disciplined enough to be able to withstand it. But like my dad and my dad is 88 years old. My mom is 77 right now and 76. And he broke his hip. He 88 now. So now, they were being intimate still at this time. And so
exactly.
now he's not able to do what he used to do. At this point, those have been over 50 years of marriage. I'm pretty sure I would be like her and I would be able to, after so many years, I would probably be able to be disciplined enough and have so much time in that, yes, I probably could, withhold, I'll probably be able to do that. But at this point in my life, in this space that I'm in, that would be tough. I'm not going to lie. We would have to figure out some kind of way to be creative because there's still a need that needs to be fulfilled. So I don't know how we would figure that out, but I'm open to some ideas.
Okay, what I'm saying to you, okay, it says in the last days, and this is to Harper, in the last days, men will become lovers of self. See, that's where the issue is. I should be able to walk away from everything. I should be able to walk away from it with the help of God, with my lineup with God. See, I'm supposed to be able to walk away from everything and trust his outcome in all things. That's his plan. See, I'm not trying to make logical sense. Logical sense said that's man-made sense. I could easily say, well, you know what? I can go without. I can't go without. And that would make total sense because, see, but that's my selfish nature. Yes, God said I can have it, but by the same token, can I discipline myself to stop? That's the question I'm asking you, because that's what better or worse mean. Can I discipline myself even though I know I got the right of way? See, it's like saying it's a four-way intersection and another man doesn't see the stop sign and he's speeding through. Do I got the discipline to stop and let that man through, or do I just keep going through because I got the right of way? I got the right of way. I could just ram into his car because I got the right of way because it's my turn. That's what y'all saying. I got the discipline to stop and let that man go by.
Yeah, she replied, discipline should equate to with compassion. And also another comment from Harper, logic is man-made.
And that's what y'all operating off of. That's where that's coming from. That's exactly where that's coming from. That's logic. That's man-made. My feelings. What I should get out of this. The Bible says I'm supposed to get this. I'm supposed to get this. See? But the Bible is saying Job was a worshiper and a faithful follower of God. So he shouldn't have got none of the stuff that he got, right? See? This is how that works. So, but you becoming lover of self. I'm trying to get to this point where it's not about self. God will have a better plan. If the person not what you doing, what they supposed to do, then I believe that will be removed.
Yeah.
But I still need to stay faithful because I want the best outcome because he has the best outcome for me. That's what I believe.
And because of, and I don't think she's like, for who we are as women, and if we got married to our husbands, I don't think like any of us would be so gun-ho to just get with somebody else sexually after a situation. if it's gonna be some time, but you know what I'm saying,
Yes.
it's gonna be some time.
Yes.
It may be some years,
It might be
because we're
3 years to
yeah,
yes.
we're
Years.
not just any woman, we're wives. Wives are different.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able to just, because think about over years, look how much stuff wives have
Hmm.
been through. Like, been through so much, like, and then still be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have still been there if he still wanted me. So it's like,
Yes.
you don't,
There's
huh?
nothing wrong with what you're saying. I agree
And
a
it,
hundred
if he
percent.
wants you, but see, when
Yeah,
you,
but
this is what we talked about that earlier. When I talked to Luke earlier about that, I'm like, okay, so if I clearly see somebody doesn't want me, how can I still remain with a person who doesn't want me? That's one-sided love. I can't keep loving on you if you don't even want to be there. So with me, when I decide to move on is when I do stumble upon maybe something you might have texted a woman. If I see conversation, that's what gets me. It's not that I don't even want to know how intimate you guys were or whatever the case might be. When I start to see you checked out mentally by what your words are saying to another woman, when I'm seeing you be intimately having conversations with a woman and wow, I always wanted to be with you. If I'm seeing this and you're with me, you don't want me. So that's when
Okay.
it's time for me to just pack up and go, because this person clearly checked out. And, for better or worse, I'm not going
Hmm.
to sit here and keep trying to make it better if you keep repeating the same cycle. You don't
Okay.
want me. So that's
Okay.
when I check out. I'm not a quitter. I don't try to
Hmm.
get in a marriage and just, hey, I'm throwing in the towel. But when you're clearly showing me that I'm a marriage of convenience for you, I don't want to be a marriage of convenience for you. You weren't my person,
Okay.
and I just
and
made a mistake.
and I've seen two I know a woman who was experienced where her husband wasn't able, he wasn't capable sexually anymore, and she stayed with him to the end till he died. But at that point in her life and marriage, no man was worth her man. You know what I'm saying? Like, who he was and who he was to her
Amen.
life.
Amen,
Huh?
sister. That's it. Amen. That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
So
See?
that's the so
Amen.
it's like that. So if you have a good husband and you have someone, it's kind of like it's nobody's worth, it's like, oh man, shoot, ain't nobody gonna meet up to this standard. Like, even now, just being out here single, it's like it's hard to find someone that can even meet where I was in my marriage. So at the same
Okay.
time, I can see why she would be in that position and still be able to withhold herself, you know what I'm saying, when her husband's not able to perform sexually until death did
Oh
them
yeah,
part. So
yeah.
We have we have a
yeah,
chat. Hold on. We got one chat, and it was Harper again. She said, "Your feelings are baseless and waver. Relationships that last are rooted in facts. If that man wanted to be celibate, he should have been a priest. False advertisement after the matrimony is
Yeah,
a mess."
I agree 100%. You don't get
I
in a
know you
marriage and
do.
say, "Hold on, I'm zipping my zipper up for a few
I know
years."
you do.
You don't do that.
why you
You
say
don't
I
say,
know
"Oh,
you do?
today I think I'm going to go celibate for 6 years in a marriage." Sorry, that's not. I agree, Harper, 100%. I agree. If you have a
And
medical issue, that's different. If you
I,
get
like
sick,
I
that's
just
different.
said,
But you don't just all of a sudden say, "You know what, honey?" And
nobody
nobody's
said
talking about it. You just zip up your zipper and you're not
no.
saying anything and you're just
Nobody
celibate all of a
once
sudden.
said the person zip up their zipper. The conversation was, I said, "Do I have the discipline?" If the woman
No,
was this, yeah,
I don't.
ma'am, we deal with this every day with women. Women can often say, that's where we got a no means no rule. Where do you think that came from? See, and in our society, can you grape your wife?
No,
See,
and I said I don't have a discipline. I'm
that,
I'm answering for
no, but
myself. I don't have
ma'am,
discipline for
that's
somebody who
but
decides to be
that's the
celibate in
point.
my marriage.
That's the
Sorry.
point. A man has to operate out of discipline. That's the point. You can't just go around taking stuff if you want it. You can't. See, back in the day, there would be this thing where they said, "You're sleeping on the couch tonight," and you had to sleep on the couch.
So let me ask you this, okay? For a woman who, because there are
And
women out here
it wouldn't be
who are
nothing
very
wrong with the
sexual.
woman.
I'm
You had
asking
to
a
sleep on the
question.
couch.
Let me ask you a question. So there are women that are more sexual today, okay? Compared to maybe our grandparents and our mother. We don't know, what their situation was, but today. So when you have a woman who wants to be intimate with her spouse, and that's not a thing all of a sudden, no medical problem, nothing, but just all of a sudden start withholding. So say that person waits for a few years and they're trying to, because mentally they're getting tore up inside. I can just imagine with something like that, because you're not feeling wanted as a woman. You're not feeling like, okay, every woman wants to, I can't speak for everyone, but most of us desire to be wanted. We want to be desired by our spouse. Okay. So in that time, if he decides to zip up his zipper with no kind of reason or nothing, what happens if she decides to, okay, like you always say, a woman should give a man grace if he steps outside of her, so is it okay if she steps outside of him and she has somebody to hook up that takes care of those feelings at that time? Is that going to be okay? How is a man going to accept that? You're not giving it to me, so is it okay if I get it from somewhere else? Because all of a sudden you decide to go celibate in our marriage for no reason. Is that okay? Is that going to be okay? Because it sounds like it's okay for the man sometimes, but is it okay for the woman to go get his little side thing while her husband's trying to figure out when he's going to unzip his zipper?
Okay. Can I ask the question? Where does it sound like it's okay for the man?
Because you always give them grace when they go cheat. You said they can't help it. They have all
Ma'am,
this
I
testosterone,
don't,
and they had
ma'am.
David was a man after God's
What
own
I
heart. You
do,
always started off with
what I
that, but
do,
he had to have
what
Bathsheba.
I
You
do is
always give
what I
grace for a
all
man's
do
cheating.
is spit fact.
You always give
Again,
grace for
all I
men's
do is
cheating.
spit
That's
fact.
why I'm saying that. You always throw Bible stuff in when a man cheats. Well, David was a man after God's own heart, but he had to have Bathsheba. It's like you make an excuse for a man's cheating. So if a woman has those needs, because we already said that women are more manly today, where some of them, they operate where they're the ones that are initiating sex in a
Well,
marriage.
see, that's
So
what we're saying. We don't want a woman that's more manly because we're men.
that's
See,
neither here
that's
nor
where the
there.
problem
You
comes.
already have a
See,
bunch of
that's
them
where
today.
we talk about femininity is gone. That's why we got more. Like in the early century, there was not many women having babies out of
But you're
wedlock. But
not
now
answering my question. You're going to
it's a.
something else. You didn't answer my question, sir.
What was your
I want to stay
question?
here. Is it okay for the woman to go if he decides to be celibate all of a sudden because she didn't get married for that? He doesn't have a health issue. He just decides. Now, if he's fasting or if it's up for something religious, okay, I understand. But for 6 years, or he decides that 5 years, if he decides do that and they didn't have a conversation, that's not even, is it okay for her to step outside of him and have a little
Well, that
side fling
question,
that doesn't mean nothing?
that question is easily answered. Would you want
Okay.
your man to go outside of you if you wasn't doing it?
But that I wouldn't. But that's what. Oh no,
You
I
got the
wouldn't. But
answer.
every time I say I wouldn't, you tell me excuses for why. Oh, you're supposed to stay and give him grace. So that's what I'm saying. The
Because
same
see,
way he would
when a
feel about
person,
me doing
when a
that.
see, I base my whole thing off, and I said that earlier, and I'm gonna say it again. My walk with God say that's what I'm supposed to do. You can do what you choose to do, but my walk with God say I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do.
But you only bring God in it when it fits
No,
your
I bring
narrative.
God in it
Any other
every
time
time.
you're saying, well, a man sometimes he's
I
going to
say this
slip into
every
some
time.
John.
The
But
whole
you only bring
conversation,
God up when
the
it
whole
fits your
conversation is
narrative.
better or worse. The whole conversation is better or worse. If I have no discipline, then better or worse doesn't even matter.
Okay.
Because I could do what I want to at the end of the day. See, God gave you free will, and He gave you the right to make your decisions. And yeah, I can sit up here and say, well, since you're withholding it, so I can go out. Should I be able to leave? Yeah, I could leave. I could go if that's the case. We're not arguing that. What I'm saying is, again, about your discipline.
Yeah, we need to read the chats because somebody's cooking in the chats over here. So real quick, I just want to go back and it says Harper says your feelings are let me see, are baseless and waver. Hold on, I'm trying to see. It's kind of small. Relationships that last are rooted in facts. If that man wanted to be celibate, he should have been a priest. So you already read that one. Let me go to the next one. The only way that she would give an exception, okay, medical situation or an exception. And then it goes on to say, women can think. When a woman can think, then that is you equate that with masculine. They're saying, Luke. So when you have a woman that can actually think, then you call them masculine.
And that's what I'm doing.
That's what Harper
Did
said.
anybody here?
She said define what masculinity is to you then.
Yeah.
Masculinity is you being a man. Again,
Really
that's
good.
what masculinity. Yeah, that is. Again, so what I just said, everything I got here is everybody's based off their feeling, except you right now, Yolanda, is based off of feelings. I heard what you said. You matched it up with what you were doing, and I loved it. The point here is
what
it
I'm
about
saying?
self?
I
The
have a
Bible
question.
is, ma'am,
How
ma'am,
is what I'm
ma'am,
saying
ma'am. I
based off
was
of my
talking
feelings?
because
How?
the Bible say you are the Bible ought to. The Bible clearly says we're not supposed to have pride. It clearly tells you the pride goes before the fall. It tells you in the last days we will become lovers of self. That means I'm placing my wants and my needs over God's needs and wants.
But when you say
And
the
that's all I'm
Bible,
saying. So again, and what I said is, again, I give it to you straight. I'm not trying to go
when
off
you
based
bring
off
up the
anybody's
Bible, you
feelings.
only bring up verses that fit your narrative, sir. And people do that all the time, and I can't stand it.
How does that
People
fit your
only bring up
narrative?
scriptures
If
that
I'm
fit their
saying
narrative.
to
What
you,
does the Bible
I'm
say
saying
about the
the
marriage
Bible
bed?
also tell
What
you
does
to
the
deny
Bible say
yourself.
about withholding sex from your mate? If we're
But
going
it
to stick to the
also say
Bible,
deny yourself.
don't pull out the scriptures that fit your narrative. Say the whole thing. God is saying that you should not be withholding.
What did
You're going
God
to call
mean
me
when he said
masculine.
deny
Hold
yourself?
on a second. You're going to
No,
call me
answer the
masculine
question.
because okay.
What do it mean to deny yourself?
You're going to call me masculine because I as a woman can only bear so much. If I see that he's withholding from me for no reason and he's cheating and I can't handle that, the Bible says that divorce is permitted if there's
Okay,
sexual
and
in a
that's what.
marriage. You're cheating on me. God
Okay,
gives he's
I hear
not
what
gonna
you're saying, but see
come down on me because I can't handle to stay with that man. But you're telling me that I'm masculine because I'm saying that I don't want to stay if my husband
no,
decides to zip
you
up
could
his
go, you
zipper
could do
and he
whatever
doesn't
you
have a
feel
medical
like it.
issue.
We didn't say you had to stay. God gave us choices. You got the right to choose wherever you want to choose. Ain't nobody stopping you. And I'm not condemning you for your choices. That's the whole point. But what I said again is how you look at life, and the show is about for better or worse. And that's what we're saying. For better or worse. Worse is not conducive to be happy. And it's not gonna always work out. Do I got
Yeah,
the discipline to handle worse? That's what
yeah.
I'm asking.
And Harper said in the chat, withholding does not mean giving oneself to another person outside of marriage. And that's what I'm getting at. If you're
And she
withholding, and that's what I've experienced that. So I'm speaking on a personal experience. I've experienced the withholding, but somebody stepping outside of my marriage. Or stepping out of my relationship at that time, because long-term relationships. So stepping outside of my relationship at that time, you're withholding from me, but I'm seeing you saying sweet nothings to Sally. That's a problem. Okay. Because I'm sitting here high and dry. My whole thing is it's mental for me. I want to be wanted by my spouse. I want you to want me. But if I
okay.
see you wanting
So
somebody else, you're backing me in the corner. That for better or worse, you threw that out the door. So why are you punishing me, telling me, oh, I got to stay and
well,
take it?
because
I got to
what I'm
keep
saying,
taking it.
okay, and I hear what you're saying. Now let me go ahead and give you this again, because see, I don't think you heard the first part. When I said the men in the Bible had more than one wife, because they could
They're
handle
not
more than
doing
one
that
wife.
today, Luke. You
Ma'am,
keep
would you
saying
please
that. They're
stop?
not doing that
Would you
today.
can I finish the thought? Can I finish the thought? See, that's what we talk. That's manly. Did you see that?
That's
That's the
not
manly
manly.
thing we talk about.
That's not manly. You want, oh,
It
go
is
ahead and
manly.
say, you keep
I
bringing
stopped
up
and
men having more than
ma'am,
one
I
wife. We're
sat
talking
here
about two
and I let
people
you
in a
talk
marriage right
and
now.
I said nothing. And then I started talking, you started talking. That's manly. The point I
That's
just
not
made,
manly.
the men in the Bible had more than one wife. That means they could deal with more than one woman. So when I give my life to God, see, when I gave my life to Christ, that says I'm a discipline myself to one woman because God said so. But it doesn't mean I only want one woman. That was the whole thing. This is why the Bible gave you these orders. It said a man of one wife. I'm choosing to go with one wife. I'm choosing to follow the Lord. But if I could sleep with 1,000 women. See, that's why a man can have a baby every day if he chose to. But he choosing not to because his walk with God. See, that's what I'm saying. You would never be, one woman would never be enough for one man. That's the point I'm making. So if that's the case, that we're going to base it off of y'all logic, then we would be constantly because you can never give us enough. That's the point I'm making.
And
tell Ms. Harper that too.
I'm gonna rate. You're getting offended because again,
I'm
like
not
you said, women
offended.
are only masculine when they make sense. So let me ask you this question. Oh, you're saying tell Ms. Harper that she's in the chat. So let me ask you this because I've had conversations with you. Now we're putting it on the man withholding, and I know I've had conversations with you. Now I'm gonna turn it on you. Would you stay with a woman that withholds it from you? Because plenty of times you told me that you wouldn't. So would you stay with a woman that zips up her zipper and says, "Oh, Luke, I'm just not in the mood. I can't," and that goes on for a year or two? Would you stay with her?
If I was married, yes. If I'm not,
that's
I
not
wouldn't.
what you said. Wow, you have not said that to me in real life.
Okay, there you go.
That we got to tell truths because no,
I'm not just talking in real life.
Masculine, and then you're gonna sit here and say you would stay with her because you said
you
that
would stay with her, but would you be faithful?
Man needs sex, a woman wants sex.
Again. But if I was married, then I gotta honor what is here. That's what I'm saying. That's where discipline coming at.
I'm done. I digress.
That's where the whole discipline thing coming at. The point here is, yeah, I can love myself and do what I feel best. Yeah, I could use that loophole and go, you know what? I'm gonna escape and go out because she's not giving it up. I could leave. But it's according to how I feel about that woman, what that woman has done for me before. So that varies. That's the whole thing. She might have stuck beside me when I was really down. And I'm gonna stand beside her when she's really down. That's just life. That's
so why would she be withholding?
We've had this conversation before, and that's not the answer you gave.
Why would she be withholding from you, though? That's the question. That's what.
See, and that's what when I gave what I did earlier. What I gave when she said that same thing, I said, "What if the man?" I gave her a reason. I don't need a reason. What I just said is about what you feel about the person. See, if I was married, now I when I said to you, I said if I had a girlfriend by that same standard, oh yeah, I'm gone. But if I was married to that woman and I was going to honor God and stand 10 toes down with the word, then I'm gonna let God work that situation out. That's why I said to you earlier when we had the thing about what it means to give it to God. If I'm giving it to God, then I'm gonna trust God's outcome with it.
But why
that's
would someone? Why would someone be withholding?
I don't even have to ask that question. I understand.
Because
I'm not even asking that question
do
like
it,
y'all
just
did.
like
I don't care.
know how
But if
women
that's
use
the
it for
case,
punishment.
for whatever reason it is, I can
Women
go
do
without.
it.
That's the point.
Some women
To
do
me,
it. They withhold
that's
it.
that's hurtful. Like that's That's so.
It happens. We just had a conversation that me and
Yeah,
you both
no, but I'm
experienced
saying
that in a
that's if
relationship.
someone does
So women
that,
are doing it at an alarming rate.
If somebody is doing that, like if I don't know if I could have consent. Like I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna say what needs to be said when it comes to like when for me I was like, hey, it's not fair. Like I want. I communicated how I felt about it.
Me
you know
too.
What I'm saying?
I did the same thing. I spoke about it for years. Yes,
and
I always brought it up.
Yeah, mine wasn't because you were out here cheating. It's because you were going through your own man stuff or whatever, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, your penis is not the only thing that works. There's other things, other ways to be intimate. So we need to figure out another way around this or whatever. And plus, I'm not lazy. So we can work this out.
So we have something in the chat.
You just said?
The Bible states that a man
cannot. Did you hear what you just
said?
Now, if a woman wasn't being intimate with a man, okay, and you just said, see, when it comes to the woman, you got multifaceted ways of being intimate. See? Now, she just gave me a conclusion. She said, well, if the woman is not being intimate with you, and what I'm saying to you, okay, do I have the discipline not to eat? Can I fast for 30 days? See? That it would be hard to do and you might do it for whatever reason you do it for. But it's the ability to actually do it and the discipline to do it. That's what I'm saying. And if I'm a trusting God for God to handle my situation, see, if I'm only going to rise up for everything that comes up in my life, and I'm gonna go and make my own decision based off it, then I'm not following God. That's where the Bible said I became lovers of self. And I'm not using scriptures for myself, and I don't pull up scriptures for myself. That's when I am loving myself. I'm placing my wants over God wants.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I said. And I've been saying this the whole show. And I say this every time. And I say that when a woman is in a relationship with a man, if that's the case, then you got to place his wants over your wants. Or you can do what man do and do what man, how you do it, man.
Yeah. And that's why there's rules. And that's why God, with the Bible, and all I was saying with scripture is, God knows that this was going to happen, right? This is not something that's a shock to him. He sees your life from end to beginning. He knows how it's going. He knew this was going to happen and people were going to be withholding. And he knew that there was going to be a high cheating rate and all this other stuff. He said, if you cannot handle it, if you cannot handle your spouse stepping outside with that whole thing, then okay. That's not to say, oh, throw in the towel. You know, if you can't work it out, and if it's something that is stepping on your marriage, okay, there's an out for that. Okay. And also, if you're withholding, you're not supposed to be withholding in a marriage bed. So when you tell me I'm supposed to be strong, I get it. I'm supposed to be strong as a woman if my husband zips up his zipper and doesn't give me a reason why. So now I'm sitting here still wanting to be desired. If I can't handle that, nobody should be judging me. You should be looking over there and saying, hey, what did you zip your zipper up for? You don't get married to do that. Who does that if you don't have a medical issue? There's no reason for that. So that's why when I say for better or worse, yes, for better or worse, but if you're causing the worst deliberately, that's a problem. You shouldn't be deliberately causing the worst, because that's something that you're choosing to do, and that's hurting me in our marriage. So you don't want to be married to me.
Yeah, because I remember knowing a lady. Well, I know a lady when she went on a fast, and she went on a fast without her husband knowing or his approval, and not saying, you know, I'm just a little old school, but she went on a fast, and then her fast was including not having sex. And I was just like, that's not, you can't just do that to your husband. He needs to, you know what I'm saying? It needs to be something that he approve of, because how can you just do that in the middle of a marriage and you cut your husband off?
Yeah.
You know, I understand that, you know, God is, you know, we have our relationship with God and we're supposed to do our thing, you know, have our spiritual relationship, and that's, you know, important. But at the end of the day, like, you can't just cut your husband off like that.
Yeah.
In my eyes, I'm thinking like that's not right. That's not right. You know what I'm saying?
I looked at it as a hypothetical question. The hypothetical question was, could you go without? Yeah. If I was really dependent on God to fix my situation, could I stand 10 toes down? Say, can I wait?
That's
most
different.
people, I know, it's always different.
I'm just saying that's not. We've had these conversations plenty of times. Harper said, hold on, let me read the chats. Harper says, okay, so the Bible states that a man that cannot take care of his own household is worse than an infidel or a heathen. Harper also said,
hold on, stop right there. The Harper means
a man
was
cannot
sex a part
hurt
of
a
taking care of
woman
his household?
in that way that he truly loves, because that would be the same as him hurting. I didn't see the rest of that. Let me see. It got cut off. But yeah, so I can't see the rest of it because it looks like it's being cut off. But yeah. So,
infidel or heathen, a man cannot hurt a woman in that way that he truly loves, because that would be the same as him hurting. It's emotional abuse, she said.
Okay, I didn't see that part. It would cut off on my screen. But yeah. It's I mean, it's to each its own. Everybody's different. Everybody's tolerance level is different. I can't look at somebody and say, hey, you should be doing this or you should be doing that, because you don't know what people can accept and not. Everybody has a different tolerance. Some people will be able to put up with some things. Some people can't.
So let me ask you a question. Y'all read the chat, and you read the words. Do you see self in that, or do you see God in it? Tell me the truth.
Well, she was telling you what's in the
No,
Bible.
no, no,
That's
no. See,
when we
do you see
eliminate what
self in
God's
it
word says. I don't. Yeah,
again? Do you see self in it, Yolanda, or do you see God in it? Which one you see?
she said God. She's getting it from the Bible. So.
See, that's all I'm asking.
She's
Because
getting it
everything
from
here,
the Bible, though.
again, but see,
She's not just
that's
spitting
ma'am,
feelings on there.
ma'am, you're misquoting the Bible. The Bible don't say anything about sex in the sense that I got to give it. It
Yes,
says
it
love your
does.
wife, ma'am. The
Yes,
Bible
it
tells a man,
does.
ma'am, the Bible tells a man to love his wife like Christ loved the church.
And he
Period.
says, don't
And
withhold
that's
sex from your
provide
wife. And
and
he says,
protect.
do not step
My
outside
job
of her
is to
either.
provide and protect. The whole thing of sex was for procreation. It wasn't a pleasurable thing. It was for procreation. Matter of fact, when
Bible
Eve
does talk
ate
about
part of the home, wasn't part of the punishment that she would bear children in pain?
what do you consider adultery? What is the definition of adultery to you?
Sleeping with a married person.
Adultery. So somebody who is okay, you're committing adultery when you step outside of your household or your spouse, right? When you
Yep.
say that the Bible doesn't say anything about sex, that's not true. The Bible says your marriage bed, because I know you only want to throw
Ma'am,
scripture
I
that,
said it
but
doesn't say anything for a man to say. It says
he
the Bible tells a
he
man
says do
to
not
love his
withhold
wife.
from
Ma'am,
each
ma'am,
other.
please stop. It said, love your wife like Christ loved the church. Sex was given to us for procreation, to create children. It wasn't for pleasure. He said, in pain are your childbearing. That's not what it was done. Go read your Bible. That's not what it said. See, he
But
said,
we
I will
know that.
protect
We
you
know
and
we
provide
know
you.
that, but what that have to do with anything with especially with you going back and saying about men, you went back and said how men can't be without it. Like, how can you say that now and say that?
Oh no, because I said the design. See, the design of men. Men. That's why in the Bible, men had many women. He had many wives. That's why it was, because men were designed to procreate. You had to
Okay.
understand the
Um,
procreation of the planet was
okay.
most important. So
So
that's why men, like I
First
said, I can
Corinthians
have,
7,
I
5.
can have, I can
First
have. No man, I was talking. I can have 30
mm,
kids every day. Where you can't. You can have one every 9 months.
okay. So First Corinthians 7, 5. This verse states that people should not deprive each other of sex
See?
except by mutual consent or for a limited time. The purpose for this is to devote time to prayer and avoid temptation. And First Corinthians 7, 4 states this verse is saying that a wife's
Could
body
you go back
belongs
to
to
that
her
first one?
husband. You're cutting me off. I'm reading the word. A wife's body belongs to her husband, and her husband's body belongs to his wife. What does that mean to you?
What? Go back to the first one. And what did
It
it
says,
say?
don't deprive. Oh, you want me to read that again?
Yeah,
This
what did
verse
it say?
states that people should not deprive each other of sex except by a mutual consent and for a limited time. The purpose of this is to devote time to prayer and avoid temptation,
Hmm.
meaning for a season, not even, and it's supposed to be a mutual agreement. It did not say that the man he's the head, so he gets to choose when he zips the zipper. It says it has to be mutual. I know you want to silence the woman altogether, but this is showing that no, you don't get in a marriage and say zip up your zipper and expect her to be okay with it. She has a say so with the marriage bed. The
Is that,
Bible says
let me ask you a
so.
question. What you just said to come out your mouth, right? Out of your mouth personally. Did that sound like from God, or did that sound like self?
I just read the
No, no,
scripture.
no, no. I asked you what you came out your mouth. I didn't ask you about your scriptures, ma'am. I said, what came out your mouth? Did it sound like that came from God, or did that come out of a selfish
What did
nature?
I say? I just read scripture to you.
See,
That's all I
I
did.
can't tell you, ma'am. I shouldn't have to tell you what you said. After you finish reading the scripture, I asked the question: did it sound
Yeah.
selfish, or did that sound like Christ-like?
No, it sounded like,
That's all I
okay,
was asking.
I was letting
That's all I
somebody
was asking.
know that was throwing scripture around. Don't throw around scripture unless you're going to back it up with the whole scripture. You can't tell somebody, hey, the Bible doesn't talk about sex. It doesn't
Oh,
say anything.
ma'am.
And then in the beginning, you said the man, he has to say so of if he wants to zip a zipper. The Bible does not say that. So I was just saying, if we're going to bring Bible, let's bring
Let me ask the
Bible.
question. Who's the head, the man or the woman in a marriage?
The man is the head, but when it comes to sex, it has to be a mutual agreement, according
Okay,
to
so
my
let me tell
father.
you something. Where do you work at? You work at the post office, right? If you
I
work in the
don't
post office,
work at the post
no, I know
office.
you don't.
I might not,
If,
but you're dropping people's jobs. And
but the
that's
point
not
I'm
cool either.
making,
We're
again,
on the
wherever
internet.
you work at, can you go tell the head of that place what you want them to do? Because that's why it's stated head. It wouldn't be a head if I could do what I want here.
We're not trying
If
to
everybody
overstep the
feel exactly
husband.
what they
Nobody's trying to
feel,
overstep the husband. But what God doesn't want is sin. He's saying if you deprive your wife, that could cause her to turn to adultery. He doesn't
okay,
want that to happen. So
okay.
that's why it has to be a mutual
So
agreement.
if I
But I
let me,
digress because I'm
okay,
not
so
supposed to be
if
teaching a
I'm,
man.
ma'am,
I
if
don't do that. So
ma'am, if I'm committing adultery, do that sound like self or do that sound like God?
if you're committing adultery, that's self.
There we go. That's all I wanted you to say. We good. We
What's
good.
what does that mean?
You answered my question.
Okay.
That's the point I'm making. See? Because everything that you're arguing comes from self. And
I
everything that you do is
I'm
self.
not arguing anything from
No,
self.
because again, that's what I'm saying. Jesus came here and he gave his life up, not for self. See, we ain't supposed to have selfish spirits. We're supposed to be Christ-like, bro.
But
That's
you
what I'm
know we're
saying.
not
Good.
perfect. Though. At the end of the day,
I
we're
didn't
not
say
perfect.
you
And
had
I
to be
wish I
perfect.
could walk like Christ
See,
on this
there we
earth.
go to the
I wish
extreme.
I could.
I said
But
the
he
point here
knew,
is,
God knew that this could cause
ma'am,
a
the
challenge
point
in a
here
marriage.
is I am supposed to be Christ-like. That's what, if you want to use that term, that's being, I would do what Christ would do in that situation. And again,
Okay.
that's all I mean, you can have all the rest of it.
As
I'm
far
not
as Christ is the one who actually told us the right way to live. And this is what they
again,
gave. God said you come to a mutual agreement with your wife. Mutual. That you're
uh-huh.
trying to shut her voice up altogether. She has a say so in the when it comes to the sex department. Because think about what you're saying. Oh, he's the man. He has to say so. So say he
I
tells
didn't
her,
say,
hey, you know what? I'm
did
going
you hear me
celibate for
say
6
that?
years. Do you
Did you
expect
hear
her
me
not
say
to
that?
cheat on you? Because
Did you
and
hear
then
me
you'll have
say
a problem with her
Yolanda,
cheating
did
on
you
you.
hear me
That's
say
what
that?
God doesn't want to happen. He doesn't want
Miss
her to
Brown,
cheat on him because
did
he
you
zipped
hear
his
me
zipper
one
up.
time say what Shay said I said? Or did I
No, you
say,
didn't. Go ahead.
God created man for himself. He created woman for man. See? That's what I said. Now, who's the head? Who did God say was the head in that relationship?
The man.
Okay, so and now this man is the head, but he has no authority, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, there you go.
Talking.
And then
What are you saying?
why
No
we calling him a
authority.
head then if
What's
ain't no
wrong?
authority?
Do you know what a mutual agreement is? A mutual agreement when it comes to the bedrooms.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about from the point of what I just said, being the head. What's the use of being a head if there's no power in being the head?
So you have to
So
take that up with God
why
because
would you
He
give
Yeah,
us
said
but
to
that?
come
it's
to.
still that
You're
still don't
questioning
take away
God
from what the
then.
word say. That still don't take away what the word is saying about a mutual agreement. It's
Yeah, you're
still
saying he
saying
Again,
can
it's
be the head, but God is that's crazy. I'm not questioning God like that.
even though the man
God
is the
said
head.
that.
Yeah, even though the man is the head, it's still saying in that scripture that it has to be a mutual agreement. Just like I said
Yes,
about
when
the
it comes
lady
to
but if
intimacy.
taking
I
the
could,
lady
and it
doing the
also
fast
said
without permission.
again, with that being said, if we had to fast for 60 days, you're also saying you couldn't discipline yourself.
But
See?
it says a
There's no
mutual
discipline.
agreement. You're supposed
Again,
to
but you
talk to your
couldn't
mate about
discipline
that.
yourself because you still would have to go without.
But you're coming to an agreement. The husband and wife are saying
Even
yes
if
to
you
it.
agree,
That
even if you agree, you still have to have the discipline to do it.
and you both are doing it together. That's
You
different.
still would have the discipline to do it.
You're fasting
Yeah,
for
but yeah, of course. I don't understand what you're
What
trying
was
to
he is
okay? So
going
what
to the
was my earlier
extreme.
question to
Wow.
y'all? What was the
That's
earlier question? The earlier question was, do you have the discipline to go without for 10
that's
years?
not that's not
See?
We
That was
said for somebody to be celibate, if somebody went celibate for 10 years, I said, no, I didn't get married to be celibate. I'm being honest. I didn't get married to be celibate. Now, if he got sick or something happened, that's different. But somebody purposely
so. Let me ask you a
withholding.
question.
I just read scripture where it says you're not supposed to do that. You have to come to a mutual agreement. That's when the man, you can't accept that he has to go to his wife and say, honey, I feel like, I want to take a year off from being intimate. They have to talk about it because,
So that's
again,
what.
that could cause her to cheat. They have to come to a mutual agreement. God doesn't want her to sin. He can't touch sin.
Yes.
He's
So
saying, talk to your wife. She needs to talk to you if you're going to try to withhold. Come to a mutual agreement. She might say a year. He said no. He might say 6 months, and they might agree on that. Okay, 6 months. That's what God is saying. He's saying, don't just take it away from her and oh, I'm the head, so I'm just putting my, I'm zipping up my pants. No, you in a marriage, Luke, and I just want to tell you, it's not all what you're making it out to be. The wife does get to voice things sometimes. She's not totally silent. She's his help, yes. But who would get married if all you sat there and just no conversation, nothing at all? Husband and wives do talk and agree on things. They do.
And they do say that.
And
It's
he
too,
has
how
the
can we
final
walk
say,
together
but
if we don't agree?
husbands do give their wife, hey, most of the time, I know a lot of husbands that look for input. Hey, honey, what do you think about this? You want to totally silence her like she has no say-so in the marriage.
But the word even
She's
says how
not leading the marriage, but she has a voice in the marriage.
But the word also says, how can two walk together unless they agree?
Yeah.
So you can't.
There's no point in getting married if somebody's just going to be like this to me all the time. Like,
Luke, what we're both saying is, for better or for worse, yes, we can withhold. But in another sense of where someone is just withholding just to withhold, that's different. But if you're in a medical situation or something like that, then that's a whole nother thing.
The question was, and it still is, how in the world, if you can't withhold out here when it's not the situation is not, how can you withhold if the situation was he couldn't? See, that's what I'm saying. I get that number straight silent. The point
no,
is,
you're getting silenced because you're repeating yourself in that it doesn't make sense what you're saying. Yeah, you're gonna have to watch the video. It's not making sense what you're saying.
it makes complete
It's for
sense.
a different
Ma'am,
situation.
let me ask you a question. It's
We're
saying
coming to an
again,
agreement.
ma'am, ma'am, I'm talking, please.
Oh my goodness.
If I said the question, you say, well, I don't eat chicken. My father used to have an analogy. I don't eat chicken if I ain't got none. See? So that's the reason he can't eat it, because he ain't got none. Can he say he can't eat chicken if the chicken is there? That's different. That's what I'm saying. You're telling me I can be disciplined to not go without it if the situation didn't arrive from a medical condition. But if it was a medical condition, I could go without it. I'm not buying it. Because see, I can go without it at any point in time. It don't have to be a medical condition for it to be I can go without.
Think about what you're
I'm
saying.
a man, and I am thinking about what I'm saying. I'm a man that needs sex, and you're a woman that wants sex. And you're saying you can't go without it, and I'm a man that needs it.
I refuse to.
They're full of testosterone, and I can say I can go without it.
But
see the
this
difference?
is what you're not hearing, Luke. Okay.
What you never heard.
What you're not hearing is, firstly, you're a man. I'm a woman. Okay. The difference with that now, since we like to make the differences and all that. Okay, you're saying you want it. I want it, and you're a person that needs it.
You need it.
Hold on.
Man,
you're saying a woman. You're cutting me off now. See, so you're saying that a woman wants it and a man needs it. The difference, since there's differences between how a man and woman love and how we think. Okay, our thought process. You think logically. With me, I have feelings. I want to be wanted in my marriage. You're not going to understand that because you're not a woman. I want my husband to desire me. And when I see him withholding sex from me, but he doesn't have a medical issue, I'm going to get in my feelings and I'm going to have a woe is me party within myself. Because why doesn't he want to be intimate with me? And that's going to cause division in our household.
The question was asked.
Me off.
Because see, you're
But
going into the same thing. You're saying the same thing over.
and so you should
So
be.
the point
I'm
I'm
trying to get
saying,
you to
I
understand that a
wasn't
woman
talking about
doesn't
a
think like
brother. I wasn't
you.
talking about no. I wasn't talking about no man that was holding it because he was sleeping with someone else. I did not mention that. What I said, and I'm gonna ask again. My father had an analogy. The analogy was, I don't eat chicken if I ain't got none. So can you withhold when it's all right? So how in the world you gonna tell me I could withhold if the person is he's injured and he can't have sex, but I can withhold there, but I can't withhold here.
Because I tried to
See, in
explain to
order to
you,
withhold, I have to
we
be aware of the
operate off
whole
of feelings.
when it's working, when it's not working.
Feelings. Okay.
That's what I
Okay.
was saying.
All
But
right.
go
When
ahead.
somebody's purposely withholding for no reason, no medical issue, yes, that's going to cause an issue. If he has a medical issue, yes, I can withhold. I can
we gotta
withhold. That's not a
we
problem.
gotta
But
we
if
gotta
he's
wrap this up.
purposely not sleeping with me, that's a
We gotta wrap
problem. We
this
didn't
up.
come to a mutual agreement for that to happen.
Oh,
I
okay,
still want
cool.
to be desired by my spouse. So there's no telling if when I go to work, I'm born into a world of sin.
You
And
didn't.
if
You
if
still,
if this person
ma'am. You're
starts speaking
talking. See,
sweet
that's what I'm
things,
saying. Your
hey,
conversation goes so far away from what I just said,
no, I
and
just
that's what.
you're not
No, you
understanding how a
didn't.
woman thinks. I'm operating out of my feelings. So if he withholds sex from me and no reason whatsoever, Luke, I want to be desired. That's why you hear a lot of women, I didn't get the attention in my marriage, so I got a divorce. If I'm not getting the attention from the very person that I married, that's a problem. Now, if he gets injured, that's a whole nother that's an outlet because I love him. I love him and I'm going to be there for him. I'm going to zip my zipper up right with him because I'm going to try to care for him and be by his side. But does he love me if he's purposely zipping up his zipper? So now I take that as a personal attack in my marriage. You're
If
withholding from me
that's
for no
your
reason.
desire, ma'am, if that's
Okay.
your desire doesn't change because of the person's situation. That's what I've been trying to say for the longest.
That's
Nobody
not to say
desires
I don't
changes
want to be
due
intimate,
to the
but if he's
situation.
injured, I love him enough to be able to wait.
And
That's
you
that's
can also still love him enough if he asks you to, and he say he's not
he
having it.
didn't ask me.
I can stop then too. That's the point I'm
No,
making.
he's not asking. Most people don't ask, hey, is it all right if I don't have sex with you for 4 years or 3 years or two? Nobody's asking. You're going to them like a begging, tapping the shoulder. Hey, you
Let
all
me
right
ask you a
today?
question.
Hey, do you see me today?
Why
Hey, do
why
you
do
want me today? When
why do
you,
the
I
Bible
don't feel
say
like I should be begging for intimacy in my
okay?
marriage. There's a
Why
big
do the
difference.
Bible say in the last days people will become lovers of self? What do that mean?
That's not lovers of self. That's saying I
No, no.
married you, and
Ma'am,
that was one
I
of the
didn't
things I
ask. I
married you
said, what do
for.
it mean? What do it mean to become lover of self?
That
Doing
means
things to please yourself.
yes, you're
There
just
you go.
pleasing yourself. I'm trying to
There
please
you
my
go.
man, and I want
Have
to
a
know
good
why
day.
he's
Have a good
withholding it
day.
from me. Me trying to please my man is not selfish. That's like, hey, dude, hey,
Again,
remember me? I'm the one that said
what
I
I
do to
said,
you.
was, what do it mean for the Bible said in the last days, man will become lovers of self. That's all I ask you, and you describe exactly what it is. That's
But
the
see,
point.
that's the same. But that's putting the word like you put the word aside to make what you want to be right. You still that's
When did I?
being lover of oneself too.
When
Because you still
again?
going away from what the scripture said
Yes, you're going away
when
from
she
the
just read
scripture.
the scripture. She
Yeah.
Where
just
did I
read
go
the
away from the
scripture.
scripture?
You did go away from the scripture because when
Where?
I
Where did
said
I go
it
away
has
from the
to be,
scripture?
because I said it has in the
What
Bible,
did
I
I
just read
say?
it to you.
What
It
did
said
I
a
say went
mutual
away from the
agreement.
scripture?
It said a mutual agreement. And then what you
I'm
did is
cool
tried
with
to
the
turn the
mutual agreement.
table.
What
Hold
I
on.
said was you
Uh,
could not hold out. That's what I said.
the mutual agreement. Okay. And when I said that to you, you turned the table and said, well, what is the point of being the head of the
I'm sitting
household
there saying,
if you don't
if
have
I
a
was
say
sitting there
so?
saying, if I was sitting there saying I couldn't go without, see, at no point in time would I go without. And if I was you, and I'm saying what you're saying, and my whoever came to me and said, well, we're gonna go for 30 days without. See, I can't go without.
The difference is I'm telling the truth about not going without. I'm being honest about that.
You
You're
ain't
not. You're not,
Earlier
because
you didn't say.
we've had
Earlier you
plenty of
didn't say that.
conversations where you said you couldn't stay with a woman who's withholding sex, and now today you're gonna stay. This is our podcast is for speaking truth. I can't do it. I'm not gonna stay in a
Ma'am,
marriage where somebody's withholding sex from me on purpose.
I said again, if I was with a girlfriend, I would leave. I've always stood on the word. That's why I get up every morning and post. If I'm married, I'm gonna do what I have to do in a marriage.
Okay.
And I said it would be contingent on my relationship with the woman.
Okay.
I did not say if a woman's not just all of a sudden not doing nothing and she's a terrible person. Well, yeah, you would want to leave. But I said it's contingent on the relationship with the woman.
But what if she's purposely, the question we've asked this before. So if she's purposely not, she's making you sleep on, she moves you out the bedroom. Because I'm going to make it extreme like you did for the husband. Would you stay with her?
Ma'am, I can do that. See, I proved I can do that.
That's not what we said before.
We can say all truth. See, I can prove I can do that. That's what I'm saying. It's not that important to me because my walk with God is far more important to me than sex. That's what I'm saying.
But there's so many women that's proven that over time. It's so many women that's been able to do that. That's what I was when I was referring to my parents. It's not something that's impossible to do. Women have done that.
Impossible to do. What I asked was again, see what this whole show was saying, for better or worse.
Exactly, that's the example that I brought up earlier.
If worse came, could I walk away and not have it anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm assuming the better or worse is with your wife,
and that's what we said earlier. Remember earlier when we said a wife is different. A wife is not easily just easy to walk away like that. That's different. We already said that. We've been answered that.
Yes, we did.
The point I was making again.
Sorry, I had to put my camera on the charger. You guys been talking for over 2 hours, and my phone is like,
Yeah, I told you we had to wrap the show up. But
it's almost going on 3 hours, and
we're going on 3 hours. We're going to chop this up.
We're going to have to do a part 2 for this one.
And what she say? I'm still waiting for masculinity to be defined. Miss Harper, we grew up in a matriarch. This is not a patriarch. We live in Western civilization, buddy. I don't have to explain it. You was raised in it. It's the way of the world. That's what I'm saying. There's no way of getting around it.
She's asking because you defined it in a way because
that's what I'm saying. But we grew up in a matriarch. See? Right now, if me and you had a baby and you decided to leave, who got the baby?
Me.
I think that's where the hurt came from.
In the Eastern civilization, the man got the baby. See, it's what we grew up in. We grew up in a matriarch. A matriarch is a woman led. See, a patriarch is what God ordered. That's why He said, Himself, man next, and then you. See, we grew up in a matriarch. So when I say
why are you not answering the questions that are being asked to you, but you want
did you not hear what I just said?
No, that's not answering her question.
That is answering her question. See, that's what I'm saying. If you grew up in a matriarch, you're gonna be the man. You grew up being the man. The head of us was man or woman.
Yeah, but
what a matriarch is.
She's asking because of what you said earlier when you said Shay was being masculine for not letting you talk.
She was cutting the man off.
No, you cut me off. Actually, I was talking, and then when you always do this,
I said this is the masculinity right here. I was doing this right here. See?
So Harper is asking because Harper is asking because she wants to know what defines masculinity to you. Period. And that's all you have to say is that we're in a matriarch.
This right here is getting redundant. If I'm saying you grew up in a matriarch, the woman lead here. That's what we're saying. I just gave you. If me and you have a baby, who takes the baby, me or you? See, in a godly world, the children. Okay, now let me ask you a question. When you have a child, whose name do the child go under?
Yours.
because it's
man.
mine. So how in the world can I grow up in a patriarch and you get my child when you leave? We grew up in a matriarch where they condone women being
But
men.
that's because nowadays y'all don't want the darn kids. What are you talking
Most
about?
of the time.
Oh man,
Some of the
Yeah.
we
time
ain't gonna
it's
go
not
into
something.
that. We ain't gonna go into that.
No,
We're not
you don't
going
want
to
to
that
go
because
see. Wow.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I'm saying, why would you try to? None of it is not you. Well, that's a whole nother
see,
show.
that's the thing.
Yes, that is.
I know.
That's
That
a whole
is.
nother show because then you need to talk about how y'all have failed the system. It's not all just woman.
Oh man,
Nothing.
oh man,
Mhm.
a woman took my child 9 years ago. I haven't seen my child in 9
See, well,
years.
that's where the hurt comes from. That's where
It
it's
ain't no
coming
hurt.
from.
That
That's
don't
Yeah,
why
go
you
there.
think all
Don't
women
do that.
because
are
we have
pieces of
my
shit.
Don't do that.
yeah.
Don't
Because
do
my
That's
that.
why you think
situation,
all women
That is
are
that
just
is not
my
no
scum
hurt.
because
situation
of
is
that.
That is
perfect.
not
My
no hurt.
situation is almost perfect, so I don't have that issue.
That is
He can
not
have
no
his
hurt.
son
That's what I'm
anytime he
saying.
wants.
And see, you went right out your mouth. Did I ever say it hurt? I'm a
But you
man.
just said it on here. So
No, ma'am,
people who
ma'am.
talk,
It ain't no hurt.
it
The point
shows.
here is, I
It
wanted the
shows
young
when
lady
you
to
talk about
understand
women,
because she
though.
said no, because she just said something that wasn't true. Go research it. We are the best fathers. We take care of our kids.
I'm not saying. I'm
Yeah, but that's
saying
what
that
you
there's
said.
some
You
I
said
men
don't.
we
that
dropped
have
the
failed.
ball.
So
See,
that's
that's
why.
the
But
first
at the
thing
end of
in
the
the
day,
mind.
I've had two
No,
situations, and right now I have a great father for my children. So I'm not saying some men have actually just left the bag, left the woman with the situation. There are some men who are good.
Are
I'm
still
not
taking
saying
care of their
that.
kids.
But for the
Yeah.
most part, y'all get up and go to work, and where are the kids left with us? So it's
And
not like it's something that we're not saying that that it's not good men and good fathers out there. It's
it's
just
the
that that's who's
women.
masculine.
been we have
It's
been
the
left to
women
hold
that
the
you're
bag.
picking. It's the women you're picking though, because like for a woman, okay, she
I,
chose to be with this.
we
The women that you're picking do that. I have a situation. I don't have to. I've never had to go after anybody for child
that's
support.
not
I've
the
never had to
issue.
do
But,
that.
no, see,
We were able to
nobody,
work things
no,
out.
and there's no man here saying that y'all don't get the children. The point I just said, again, she said men drop the ball. I happen to be a man. See,
Well,
Okay.
that's from
that's
your
all.
experience.
We got to
Our
end this.
experience,
Yeah.
everybody's experience is not the same. Some men have dropped the ball,
Uh,
so
let
that's
me
how
ask you a
some women.
question. Let me ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
The question will always be, who controls sex? Because kids come from sex. So if that woman chose to have a baby and I didn't want to be a father, right? And she still had a child, how does that work? And she
You
I
talking
still
don't
has
about
it.
your
understand what you're
situation?
saying.
No, I ain't talking about my situation. I said if a woman decides to have sex with you and you decide to have sex with that man and y'all both agree you don't want children, but then when you get pregnant, you decide to have the child. The man said he didn't want to be a father. So is he a deadbeat father because he didn't want to be a father?
If he didn't want to be his father, he wouldn't have been spraying seed, right?
There
That
you go.
because we
See?
all know that there's a
See?
chance you can
See?
get
But
pregnant
see
with
if
Who
they,
a beast
controls?
inside
There
you.
we go. See? Well, who
but if they
controls?
both,
But it's
if they, you
facts.
said if they
Who
both didn't
controls
want,
sex?
you
Mm.
said they both didn't want
No,
one,
no.
so they
Answer the
both had to
question,
have
Shay. Who
abortion.
controls sex?
You said what? Hello?
Yeah, I can't understand. Who are you talking to?
Talking
Who are
to
you
you,
talking to?
Shay.
What did you
Can a
say?
man shoot up a club? Can he shoot up the club if you don't let him in?
No, he can't shoot up the club if you don't let him in. No.
There we go. That's all we want. So there you go. That's you answered both of the questions.
Eliminate
There we go.
all accountability from the man. That's what we do. But that's fine.
That's not a
Again,
limit. I just told you the truth.
for better or worse,
Okay.
you pick it for better or worse. So no, but
Yolanda,
so
can a man shoot up your
I
club
can't
without
keep
your consent?
on going all night.
Good night.
Can a man shoot up your club with your consent?
Good night. I can't even go on with this because it's like it's
No,
going to a whole other direction.
Lose
I
them
can't.
titles, see?
I can't.
Okay.
I don't even
Yolanda.
understand where we going. Okay, y'all.
I appreciate you coming on, Yolanda.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Yolanda, for showing up. And we, like I said, we wanted to chop this up, but yeah, it's done ran too long.